take that as a compliment. Thank you very much.
Leo, have a good weekend, will you?
You too, all right.
Enjoy
See you
whatever
Monday,
do.
right? Look.
Okay, look forward to seeing you again on Monday. Okay, 9 till noon show coming up for you very, very short. In fact, I have another 50 seconds. Obviously, you're all right.
I've talked enough.
All right, okay, good luck to you. The 9 till noon show's coming up around the corner. We've got a great panel, as always. Kathy Donaghy, Joseph McBride, John McAteer. They're going to be discussing some of the big stories of the day and the week. That's all coming up after a 9 o'clock news update, and it is over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The Education Minister says a decision to award Leaving Cert grades, which were broadly in line with last year, was made due to the unique situation of this year's class. Norma Foley interviewed in July to instruct state exam bodies to ensure this year's results were no lower on aggregate than last year's. For many, it was the first time students sat a state exam after their junior cert had been cancelled during the pandemic. The 2023 results will be released this morning at 10. Minister Foley says while grades were broadly in line, there wasn't as much choice in the exams as the 2022 class got.
Previously, we had made a number of accommodations, 2 rounds of accommodations on the Leaving Certificate paper for students last year. This year, there was 1 round of accommodations on the paper. So the papers as themselves that students are sitting are beginning to return more and more akin to what students would have sat in 2019.
In a statement this morning, Donegal ETB CEO Anne McHugh says it's vital that if students feel they'd like to look again at their choices, they should seek advice from the wide range of sources available to them. This includes family, friends, guidance counsellors and their own research. Ms McHugh says young people have learned about adapting quickly to new ways of working in the recent past, and they've learned to be creative and, most of all, resilient. A 22-year-old man detained under the Terrorism Act in Derry yesterday morning has been released following questioning. He was arrested by detectives investigating a vehicle hijacking and subsequent security alert in the Waterside area on Sunday, November 22nd last year. That investigation continues, and police continue to urge anyone with information to come forward. The government's being urged to scrap plans to increase excise on fuel next week. NTU leader Paddy Tobin says the state is jacking up the price of petrol and diesel for the second time in just a few months. The government argues prices are returning to normal after it temporarily reduced excise duties as a response to the cost of living crisis. However, Paddy Tobin says this is an attack on drivers, which will be felt particularly acutely in places like Donegal, where there are few, if any, alternatives to the car.
671,000 people are in poverty in this country. 1 million people are barely scraping by at the moment. And yet what we have is rich ministers, literally making it more difficult for struggling families. And this is not happening by accident. This is a deliberate attack, I believe, on drivers and commuters, many of whom don't have an alternative mode of transport.
And Donald Trump has become the first former US president ever to have his mugshot taken. He's been booked on more than a dozen charges, all concerning alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election result in the state of Georgia. It's the 4th time he's surrendered to authorities this year. Speaking after his release at Atlanta Airport, Mr. Trump was insistent he'd done nothing wrong.
What they're doing is election interference. They're trying to interfere with an election. There's never been anything like it in our country before. This is their way of campaigning. And this is one instance, but you have 3 other instances. It's election interference.
A mix today of sunny spells and isolated showers, feeling somewhat cooler with highest temperatures of 15 to 17 degrees Celsius in a fresh northerly breeze. Staying cloudy this evening with scattered showers. Some heavier showers possibly later in the night. A fresh and gusty northerly breeze will persist with lowest overnight temperatures 10 to 12 degrees Celsius. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 10 o'clock.
Get laptops from $199 at Curry's. We've laptops for the future boss, all-rounder, coder, or creator. Like the HP Stream 14-inch laptop, now only $199. Save €20. Or save €120 on the HP 14-inch laptop with Intel Core i3, now $379. Shop in-store or online at currys.ie.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. 3 minutes past 9, Friday the 25th of August 2023. And you're very welcome along to the last 9 till Noon Show of the week. And I'll introduce our Friday panel to you very shortly. But just to invite you to get involved in the conversation as well as the hour wears on. 086 60 25,000 is how you text or WhatsApp the show. And if you want to to give us a call, it's 07491 25000, and your emails, comments at highlandradio.com. And of course, you can watch the programme and interact with our panel on social media. Go to YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland. You can watch on your smart TV, your Fire Stick, or your laptop, tablet, whichever device you might have. And we're also on Facebook, Highland Hub, Highland Radio News and Sport, and there's even a watch live link on our website. So literally no excuses not to be involved. Okay, shall we say good morning to our guests? Why not? Cathy Donaghy's a journalist and author of Finding My Wild. Good morning to you, Cathy. How are you doing?
Great, Greg. Thanks for having me on. I'm in good company this morning, I see.
It's great to have you back on, Cathy. Joseph McBride's a teacher and co-author of Power and People, Leaving Cert Politics and Society. Good morning to you, Joseph.
Good morning, Greg. Pleasure to be on.
I'm not sure if
good company here.
I'm not sure if you being booked for today is an amazing producer by Carolina. Just a wonderful coincidence with your writing about the Leaving Cert and being a teacher and what have you. And last but certainly not least, the legend that is John McAteer, editor of the Tyrconnell Tribune newspaper. Good morning to you, John.
Good morning, Greg.
Thanks so much for joining us. Lots to get through today, but of course, it's a big day for many students today, and for many of them, it's probably going to be seen as the most important day of their young lives so far. I never presumed people did their leaving. I didn't do mine. But, Joe, did you do your leaving? Of course you did. And what are your memories of that day?
Yeah, it's all sorts going through your mind going in that morning to get the results. I suppose now they get it online, so it's different. And that I suppose it's nicer that they can do it their own way and get it maybe with their family around them, or maybe some of them might want to do it on their own and look at it first. But whenever I did it back in 04, it was, you went into the school and you kind of already had an indication from the principal handing you the brown envelope, whether you had done well or not, by the smile or lack of on the face for some people. So it was very daunting. And look, it can be a difficult day unfortunately for some people, and it can be all sorts of emotions. It can be, an ecstatic day for others, and that's the system we're in. And
we're in a better position now, though, aren't we, in that there are more options than ever? Because I know, and we are all very well intended when we say it seems like so important now, but as the years wear on, it'll, you put it into certain context. But that being said, it is the day that's in it, and it doesn't matter what we say, really. It's going to be a tough day or a wonderful day, and it's really, subjective. But I think there genuinely is a greater understanding now of the people can progress in different ways. The government has, I think, made great inroads in platforming and offering other platforms to third level. So it is different now to your time, is it? Or is it? Sorry, it's a question, Joseph.
I think it is and it isn't, Greg. There are definitely, the Leaving Cert is not the be-all and end-all, and I think students realise that. But that realisation doesn't really hit home, I think, until they get the results nearly, and until they think of plan Bs if they have to go that route, and they think of alternate routes, and there's a lot open there. But it still is the only show in town, unfortunately. And I'd be an advocate of reform, of serious reform of the second level education system. And I think we're doing a disservice to thousands of students across the country, and thousands today, or that 61,000 getting results today. Many of them, this isn't the route for them, and it isn't. They might never use their Leaving Cert. That's the reality. We don't have. I think we need to move down the road of a two-tier system, and at an earlier intervention, even from junior cycle onwards, that there'd be two pathways: one heading the academic route into university, and another into the trades and apprenticeships.
Is that not? That's not what Leaving Cert applied is then, though. No.
It is, but again, I feel that it's overdue an overhaul. It is very good when the resources are put into it, but as you know,
can we be confident though? Post, I was going to say Intercert. I can't even remember what it's called now. Junior Cert. Is it Intercert? What's it called now? The exam when you're 14 or 15. What's that called again?
Yeah, Junior Cycle.
Junior Cert.
Junior Cycle.
Intercert in my head. But I mean, could we? Is that not too early to decide whether or not you want to go down the academic route or go down a route that's more geared towards trades? You know what I mean? Do you not require a level of maturity that maybe has not arrived yet to make such a huge decision?
I personally don't think so. I can see it teaching in school myself that there's students that are clearly not interested whatsoever in.
But is it not the role of teach? Yeah, but it's not the role of teachers to sort of try and change that, to inspire, to.
Of course, yeah, you can do so much, but you can take, as the old saying goes, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And I think there's some students who are talented, very, very talented in other areas. Like the Leaving Cert test, one form of intelligence, really. It's pure rote memory learning, and that isn't for everyone. There's multiple intelligence out there. And
we'll talk a little bit about maybe a bit of reform and marking, but I want to bring our other guests in as well. Kathy, I mean, what's your recollections of this day? I mean, as I say, I stopped quite some time ago interviewing the person, and fair play to them, but the one person that gets the top results and everything, because I don't think that's really, I think it makes it more difficult for others, and they can be celebrated in different ways on social media and what have you. I'm not sure it's just a fantastic way of route to go down. But anyway, what's your views on today, maybe compared to when you did your leaving, etc.?
I wish it had changed more, I think. This day is sort of ingrained in my head. I remember myself and my best friend with our mums went out over Drone Hill out to Carndonagh Community School and into the office where Father McKenna was sitting with envelopes. And all I wanted to see was had I passed maths, because I knew I wasn't getting out of school unless I'd passed maths, and I was hopelessly poor at that. I was, I had some subjects that I was good at, but maths was my Achilles heel, and you can't pass a Leaving Cert without maths. So, for me, it was such a stressor. And I did want to go on to university and study English. But I felt that it was a passport, and it was, looking back, it's not the journey, it's not the be all and the end all, but when you're 17, 18 years old and everybody's, and this whole race, the points race, that I think has been put on this pedestal with people getting the perfect points, I think that is the biggest load of rubbish ever. Kids, it's like comparing apples and oranges with stones. Kids are so different, they're unique, and I hate this idea that you have to perform and you have to get all these points. I wish that there was a fairer system that rewarded creativity, that saw the brilliance of someone's mimicry, or they were a brilliant actor, or there were things that really showed the potential of kids. This is a rote learning. If you're a good sponge, lots of people are, I don't mean to take away, there's brilliant kids out there, and that's the only measure we have, but it is not the complete measure of who you are, right? And that's what I'd like to say to parents today of kids. There are other routes into education. You will, and your child will find their path. There's something for everybody. And, as far back as, 2015, the OECD looked at the stressors on young people, and they found that the Irish education system was one of the most stressful, that the kids worried themselves sick about exams. They worried what would happen if they failed. 50% of them were worried about what would happen if they failed. So I think this whole system, this colossus of the Irish education system, which is the Leaving Cert, is in bad need of reform. We've been talking about reform for so long. What reform looks like, maybe it is more continuous assessment. Maybe it is more pathways to learning that allow kids to shine, that aren't the academic points-driven kids.
And if we went down that route, okay, because there are people listening that will go, it's a test. And it tests you as to your ability and to your capability to go into nursing, to go into healthcare, to go into science or whatever. And you have to have a test have you any concerns that if we were to sort of try and water it down or make it more along the lines that you talk of, that we could maybe drop down in international levels as to, the quality of the output of students?
I guess we have to be careful about that. And I think a lot of the university bosses are coming out, just today and yesterday, and they're talking about how we need to keep a certain standard. And of course you do. If you're going into an area like medicine, you have to have people who are, they're getting high grades in the likes of their chemistry or their physics or their biology. But at the same time, and that's where, we also need to talk to the human person. What about more, interview-based, assessments, and what is the round picture? I don't have the answer. Like, there are the top brains in education are looking at how the system would be reformed, but I know the student bodies would say that it's really letting a lot of kids down. And today, there'd be great celebration, and I hope that it's a safe, wonderful day for young people. But there'd be a lot of people disappointed, and I would just like to say, it's not, this day is not the be all and the end all. There is something for everybody. There's a pathway for you to do what you want to do.
And also, though, to recognise, and I think I'm correct in saying that there are students that will that have the ability to get points for certain courses at the very, very highest level, but they might miss out because there are others who maybe are behind them that through point inflation will end up getting those positions. So, but we'll tease that out a little bit in a moment. I just want your views on this, John McAteer.
It's an important day, of course, for those 61,000 students. But as Kathy there says, it's not the be-all and the end-all. Whether there's reform needed to the Leaving Cert, I think I've been listening to that for at least 50 years. It doesn't change whatsoever. For those in the education system, they never had a better chance in life. There was never more opportunities to learn. There was never more opportunities to find employment in Ireland. Yet there was never more students wanting to leave. So there's huge contradictions and there's huge issues there. The idea of getting into third level is a given for literally every student in the whole country. You have a university status here in Letterkenny. You don't have to leave home to study at that level. But there will be good results, and there will be results that may be a bit of a disappointment. That shouldn't really matter in the slightest. Our education system is probably one of the better ones in the EU, and it's basically at the end of the day down to the students' own ability to relate to what they've been doing at secondary school for the past 4, 5 or 6 years. They're leaving secondary school now with much more experience, much more knowledge of life. Some of them are already even parents, so we should be giving them a vote even at that point, long before probably. But at the end of the day, all we can do is just wish the students well in whatever course they decide that they want to take in life, and we hope that they get those results this morning.
What about Joseph's suggestion of maybe a fork in the road earlier in the education in second level, where people who perhaps might be better suited to because it's almost set up now as everyone's going to work in IT or everyone's going to work in one particular field or other. We've never had as big a demand on people with skills and trades as we have now, and maybe we should be starting earlier to harness the skills that are out there earlier in the second level cycle.
You had that when you had standalone vocational schools who done marvellous work and directed people towards those skills and towards those trades, and we had never more demand. IT is going to be a very, very important one. So is plastering and plumbing and motor engineering and all of those things. And as Joseph there said, we should be directing them probably at the end of their second year. There should be assessments done there to see where your natural talent, your natural ability lies. Is it academic or is it more towards skills?
I know lots of young people, John, and I'm sure we all do. I know lots of young people that realise they need to get a leaving cert for their options, but they just can't. They're skipping transition year. They just can't get it out of the way quick enough because they want to work on the family farm or in the family business, or they want to go on an apprenticeship for their trade and all. And they're literally just trying to get the leaving cert out of the way as quickly as they can, just to have that in the bag.
But that's all right too, Yeah. Because there are opportunities in agriculture like there never were before. There are issues around climate change that they will have to learn about and that they will have to cope with and that they will have to focus on down the years. So there's going to be new skills and new demands coming down their way. But along with that, there's going to be coming a huge amount of new opportunities as well. But the Leaving Cert will need to be reformed. Probably the whole idea of just re-examining it at a root branch level. At what stage should you be looking at that, even at national school? I don't know, because I'm not a teacher, thankfully.
Yeah, well, we do have a teacher with us. Joseph, what are the implications of the inflated grades? It's happening again this year, perhaps even next year as well. Just your views in relation to that and where it impacts most in a negative way, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose it's just one of those unfortunate side effects of the COVID pandemic. that you had to cater, and make accommodations for the students, particularly this year's group cohort who didn't sit a junior cert and didn't sit a state exam before their leaving cert. So I can understand why the minister had to make a decision there to I suppose, bring them up in line with previous years. But it's kind of like a snowball effect. Once it starts, very hard to stop. And it's the knock-on effect. I think this year, the minister had said that they would not be disadvantaged in comparison to last year's students, and that she hoped it wouldn't increase, the rate of inflation wouldn't increase. But from what I could read into it this morning, there's 71% of grades have increased this year, and that's up from 50% last year. The average increase has been 7.9% across all subjects, so some subjects higher increases than others. But that has a knock-on effect on an already very pressurised AO system, trying to sort them into third level. And I know, as Cathy mentioned, like the universities are coming out strongly now on this in the last couple of days about, the impact it's having on them. Like, you have students, we've had students who got 600 points in their leaving cert and didn't get the course they want. Like, it was bananas when you think of it, like doing everything right, every single thing that was asked of them they did. And then it was oversubscribed, and a university has to go to a lottery system. I think universities, though, need to look at themselves too. They can't just blame the inflated grades and the education system or the CO system. They're kind of, maybe they need to look at themselves and their own admissions policies, and they need to look at maybe like the idea of doing interviews. If you look at, I would give references for students who are doing the UK system through UCAS, and a lot of them, they're not as focused on the grades. There are grades they need, yes, but they're nearly more nervous about the interview and other aspects that show on competency tests. And I think our universities need to really grasp that nettle and need to go that route to make sure they're getting the right fit. And as they say, the dropout rate, I think, is gone up from 7% in 2020 to 15%, which is a big increase, over double of an increase. Now, it is broadly aligned with what's going on across Europe as a result of the COVID pandemic too, but look, it's multifaceted approaches.
I hate the way we tend to, and I'm not saying you do, we do as a nation tend to sort of justify our failings by saying, well, they're also making the same mistakes in Europe. It would be great, like in different areas, if we could sort of not, be different, be the ones that see change. And Cathy, you talked about, which I get a sense that you can actually put yourself back in the teenager Cathy on that day when you got that results, but to have to go through that, but then achieve what you were hoping to achieve, but still miss out, it must be devastating for today's students.
I think you're right, Greg, and that's what's kind of so devastating about it, is you do everything right. As Joe says, you've done the perfect leaving cert, you've got the points, but you're not going to get your choice. And at the root of this, what you have then is a young person believing, I have failed, I have not got what I wanted. So you're starting your next route into education feeling like a failure. The whole thing is almost designed to mess your head up, the whole leaving cert. I would feel that as well, though, we are maybe setting students up to fail because you've got all this pressure for courses. The points have become inflated, and some universities are now going to random selection, like a lottery, to get into university. So you might get a university place that perhaps is not the place for you. It's just you're reaching too high for that particular course. So then, you drop out and you go back home and you feel like, I have failed. But there has to be more of a pastoral role for universities here. And the big jump from second level, as Joe would know, to go into university where you're on your own. There is no teacher saying, come here, have you got your homework done today? Could you not have done better there? Or, we all had great teachers. I had the most amazing English teacher, in Carndonagh Community School who actually encouraged me to write from, and Miss Donaghy, what do you think about this? And wanted my opinion. And all of us had brilliant teachers, right? But we are setting these young people up to just believe that this is all me. I have done something wrong here by finding that they go into a course that's not for them, it's unsuited to them, and then they feel like, it's not worked out. My whole university experience is marred. What am I going to do now? And it really is, we really have to get behind students. And I think the universities, Joe, you made a good point. I think that universities really need to look after students a bit more, because you go into this melting pot and you're on your
Kathy,
own,
it's funny.
know?
Like I mean, Joe's suggestion is a good one. I never really thought about it, but I kind of thought that was a given, that that's how he might do things, or you know what I mean, that there is some curation, or. But anyway, as I say, it's just it's obvious that it doesn't happen, but I never thought about you'd presume it would, because it makes so much sense. Stay with us, because we've got an awful lot to get through, and you're hearing the voice of John McAteer, Kathy Donaghy, and Joseph McBride. We'll be back with more from them and your comments as they come in this morning as well, too, of course, after a quick break.
It's the 9 till noon show in association with the Northwest Truck Fest this Saturday and Sunday at Milford Mart, with live music, family fun, a truck convoy and much more.
While on his lunch break at work, Sean switched to 48 Mobile and got all data, calls and texts for the limited time offer of $6.50 a month. That made him feel like he scored a goal. Yes! So he celebrated by knee sliding across his boss's desk. Visit 48.ie to get your SIM now and make a good call like Sean. 48 Mobile. Good call. Subject to fair usage. $12.99 a month after the first 3 months. $6.50 one-time activation fee. See 48.ie.
Engineer or criminologist? Do you want to develop renewable energies, create the next great drama, or improve people's health? Anything is possible at Ulster University, where you can study in the heart of Derry Londonderry. Clearing places are now available to help you realise your ambitions. It's time to say hello, future. Apply now for September 2023 at ulster.ac.uk/clearing.
With the largest selection of pre-owned vehicles in the Northwest, check out imotors.ie. We have it all. Starter cars, family cars, and even a bit of luxury, all available to drive away. All cars come serviced and with warranty. Check out imotors.ie.
Where's the party? Bundoran presents Ireland's biggest indoor dancing festival, the World Matchmaking Festival, in 4 venues for 10 days, 10 nights, September 29th to October 8th. Starring 35 bands, including the Tumbling Paddies, Derek Ryan, David James, Declan Nerney, plus blind date and speed dating. Book now for accommodation and entertainment package deals. Log on to showtours.ie or call 0818 300 888. Meet your match in Bundoran. Very special guest from Lisdoonvarna, the world famous matchmaker Willie Daly.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
It's 26 minutes past 9. Now, the Irish Navy is so understaffed at the moment that only 2 vessels are available to police Irish waters. The Naval Service acts as the official agency with responsibility for the operation of Ireland's Fisheries Monitoring Centre. There's around 400 fishing vessels out at sea in our waters daily. Of course, we should also bear in mind that the policing of inshore fishers is incredibly well resourced, with regular checks, people on the shoreline with binoculars, there's drones up in the air, night vision goggles, all regularly employed there. Is it fair there could effectively be a free-for-all out at sea while smaller operators face such scrutiny? We're going to return to this next week, but just wondering if you have a quick view on this. John McAteer, I'll start with you. I mean, if I were an inshore fisherman and I'm left with what's left of these floating factories decimating the seas, I'd feel very hard done by to realise that the international waters, or our waters that are fished by the international fleets, aren't really being policed at the moment.
See, the reality always has been that the Navy has been under strength. It's a poor career financially. Advancement is just non-existent. And as you say, there are only 2 vessels at the moment, and we have a fairly long coastline. The big issue for many people will be the arrival of drugs, as happened here in a bundle in Fanet not all that long ago, and another one over at Dunfanaghy. God knows how many other bundles arrived elsewhere that were already recaptured. The Navy as a career is not seen as a good option. And until that is beefed up, until proper salaries and promotional opportunities are provided, as far as inshore people are concerned, the coast have a gripe. But this is a matter for government. Always has been, going back down the years. people will join the Navy. There's a splurge of advertising that makes it look very attractive, is that you're probably going to sail the world and get the most exotic holidays in South Vietnam or somewhere like that. But the reality is that you're probably stuck in Hull Bowling for half the year or a lot longer, and you're not going to see it all because there aren't enough officers to crew the ship.
Well, at least now there's a bit of honesty to it, because I remember it must be 6, 7, 8 years ago talking to people involved in the Navy, and they were saying, you know, such and such a boat's been tied up for the last 6 months, and they say it's in to get service, but, you know, bottom line is we don't actually have the staff to take the boat out. At least now, or the vessels out, at least now we're having the proper conversation out in public that the reason there's only 2 out there is because there's not enough staff to put any more out.
We can't do anything very, very well in this country from that point of view. If you're watching the prime time last night, a guard that had left the force, it was going to take 45 minutes to put a case on the pulse system, and they might have 20, 30 cases for the night, so they had to stop early and get back. We just don't seem to get a handle on the technology that's needed there. We don't seem to have a handle on the number of personnel that are needed in places like the Guard, the Navy, and indeed the Army. People no longer see it as a very attractive career to go elsewhere, and the government seems quite satisfied to let other nations, particularly NATO, the United States, look after our waters, and that's the bottom line, you know.
Yeah, and of course, too, a lot of people just use it as a springboard to another job, that they enter the Navy, get up to a certain level, and then go into the private sector where they're much better rewarded. Kathy, I mean, you know, maybe we landlubbers don't take really the security of the waters as seriously as we might. Of course, I did focus on, you know, in terms of fishing policing, because just that irony of the life of an inshore fisher versus an international, I just thought that worth mentioning. But as John mentioned, in terms of, you know, drugs arriving to our shores, you know, a busy, active Navy off our coasts, it's important for the security that maybe we don't always see.
I think you're right, and I think there's the element of visibility about it as well, Greg. You know, that if we are seen to have a strong force, you know, keeping an eye on things. But I think what's happened in recent years is, you know, occupations like the Navy have been devalued kind of in society. They've been let sort of go to seed a bit, and you know, there hasn't been that visibility. And perhaps if we do have a campaign, and maybe today is the day to be talking about it when we see the leaving certs come out, perhaps careers like this, you know, could be seen as viable options for people if investment was put in, and you know, that it was seen as something that, you know, a young man or a young woman could do, but not to, you know, move on. There needs to be some kind of a lifelong, you know, learning approach. There needs to be, this is a career option. This can take you from, you know, from now until your retirement. And I don't think that people would see it as that, giving them that kind of longevity. So what's wrong? What are we doing wrong there? And perhaps the government really does need to look at how we value this as a profession, as it was, I think, in the past, very much so, you know. Yeah, and
Joseph, too, you know, you could extend it out to our attitude to a lot of jobs. I'm going to throw teaching in there. Teachers aren't taking up jobs in Dublin because they're not getting paid enough to even be able to live there. But it's not just a Dublin issue, it's right across the country. Gardaí, we can't retain or recruit Gardaí at the numbers that is required. There's this issue with the Navy. There's the same issue with nursing. You know, I mean, we're kind of shooting ourselves in our own foot, because an awful lot of the problems are of our own making, because people are choosing a lot of these careers, but they're not choosing them here. They're choosing them somewhere else because they'll feel rewarded, you know, if they're in a different country. So it's kind of right across the board when you take a step back and have a look at it, Joe.
Yeah, it is. I think it's how you promote the various occupations too, and it's how it's sold to young people. But probably the common denominator with a lot of people who are particularly in teaching and nursing and other occupations that are leaving the country is the housing crisis. You know, I think that's a huge problem, because there's the knock-on effect in the rental market, and someone just fresh out of college is going to rent for the first number of years. And especially in Dublin, it's just not possible. And you wouldn't blame them for going overseas, where they can get a tax-free salary and have accommodation sorted in advance for you. So it's a major problem. Like, I think the housing crisis is at the core of a lot of these problems. In relation to the defence forces, it's a very noble occupation. It's a vocation, really, and I think Kathy's right.
Well, you see, that's the problem. You see,
yeah,
because it's not a vocation at all, Joseph. Neither is teaching, neither is nursing, neither is the guards. But unfortunately, I think the powers.
I think it is.
You're right, and you're a teacher. But my point is that I think sometimes the powers that be exploit the fact that people see it as a vocation. So I'm not saying you're wrong in saying that, and sure, look at you're following your vocation, but we can't exploit the fact that for many it's a vocation, and I think that does go on.
Yeah, look, you have to treat people and put the real value on the jobs that they're providing, and I think at the minute we're only spending 0.2% on our defence budget, which is the lowest in the EU. It's been rock bottom for years, so to have a functioning Navy is going to cost, it's going to take investment, and I think that debate has to happen, particularly when we're trying to protect our neutrality.
But that really is an issue, and John, this is where if I were in the Army or the Navy now, I'd be worrying, because it's not going to be decoupled from the neutrality question, the NATO question, is it? You know what I mean? It'd be really hard now to be arguing for a review of defence spending, because instantly it's going to feed into that wider conversation that's going to make it more challenging to come up with a solution. Or maybe I'm wrong.
You know something? The Navy has historically been undermanned, underpaid and undervalued. And every successive Minister for Defence comes up with a whole new idea and a whole new aspiration, and we end up back in the same spot all over again. And at the same time, you're competing alongside much better paid occupations nowadays, and as a consequence, the Navy continues to be diminished. Like we are going to continue to external sources to look after our security at sea, and there's no doubt about that. And I suppose the Russians are going to come in and give a hand as well. Like at the end of the day, I listened to 4 young students on your show last Friday morning, just talking, going back to the Leaving Cert, that 4 very vocal and very lucid 4 students, they had one thing in common: all 4 of them are leaving Ireland. You know, they're in their teens, late teens probably. Probably some of them have leaving cert this morning. None of them are thinking too much of joining the Navy or any other aspect of Irish life, because they just can't afford it.
And Kathy, I'm not sure if you heard the 4 students. You know, it's not that they necessarily, because the question I put to them, it wasn't like, do you want to travel, or do you want to see the world, or do you want to get life experience and come back? The question was, do you see a future for yourself, or do you see that you could achieve your goals in Donegal / Ireland? And all 4 of them, and by coincidence, and I didn't know the views before I asked that question was they didn't see it. So it's a wee bit of hope that's gone, and that's the next generation. That's the future of this country, and that really took me aback, Kathy, that young people don't see a future here.
I think that's a terrible indictment, of our society and what we're doing now, and I think it does come back to, hope. And can we see ourselves? Can young people see themselves having a stake in the future of this country? Can they see their place in it? And many of them can't. And I think Joe's right. Can you look at the figures on getting a house, getting started, and they're astronomical. How can people feel like they can have a part of something if it's just so out of reach, and that is, there's so many problems to fix before the housing issue is massive. I do think that things are changing, and I do think there are more options. John said it earlier, there are more options for young people in Donegal. Like I have 2 sons. They're in a few years they're going to be up and out as well. I would love to think.
Are they, Kathy?
Unlike,
are they? I just kind of get the impression that my boys' hope for home ownership is to live with me until I pop my clogs and then row over it. But before you go on to that point, and maybe this answers it. Like, obviously, the young people are here listening to us. Is there any danger? Is there any danger that we are running the country down with our commentary on it? Not us 4 here.
We're not.
Are you sure, John? Are you sure that we're not? Are you sure that we're not? They're not going, well, if my dad or my granddad or my mum or my granny or my auntie thinks this country is so bad, is it as bad? I mean, is it as bad as?
It's probably worse, actually, if you were a young person looking in at it. You look at some of those last week were 19, and they speak to a whole host of tens of thousands of other people in a position at school where they're looking to their future, but it's not in Ireland. And what they're talking to here is the failure of the political system to offer them an opportunity to provide a climate that can leave them getting a house here, renting a house that leaves them with money in their pockets rather than high taxation. When you look just at one basic thing this week, our electricity prices are about €900 a year dearer than anywhere else in the EU. You multiply that dozens of times, and where young people need money, it's at this point in their lives.
And what's annoying is there's no reason why our groceries are so expensive compared to Europe or electricity. It's literally just gouging us. But Kathy, I just put the same question to you then, because I mean, John's clear that, you know, it's not that we're running the country, that the young people know what's going on. That is their view. But do you think we talk of the positives enough that, you know, it's a relative?
Yeah, I don't think we talk about the positives enough. And, you know, I think that, you know, things have changed and moved on in this country. I'm really hopeful, you know, that with good interventions that things can get better for young people. I remember, you know, like doing a Leaving Cert in the 1990s and leaving Donegal, there was nothing. Like, there was nothing. Fruit of the Loom had just collapsed. There was absolutely no way I could have thought about, you know, building a life here. You know, things have moved on. You know, we've got, you know, hubs, digital hubs all over the county now. For the first time, I would say that perhaps there is a place for young people to live and work in Donegal that there certainly wasn't when I was leaving here.
And in terms of trades, there is no shortage of quite well paid trade work in Donegal either.
Yeah.
Joseph, you work with young people obviously as well as we all do in different ways and means, but you know, when you do hear a group of students going, I don't believe I have a future here, is that reality or is some of it perception?
I think, I always ask that question to my Leaving Cert class, you know, the final week, and I have noticed a trend where there's now a significant majority saying, no, I'm out of here. And I think there's a sense of, you know, young people obviously want to go away. I remember doing my Leaving Cert and I couldn't wait to get out the door of the house and be gone, you know, and go anywhere. Like, you know, I just wanted to get away, and that's part of it too. But I have found there is, I suppose, it's kind of depressing to think of, but like there is a sense of, some young people say, like when I break down into it, well, is this, no, everyone wants to get away, but could you see yourself coming back here maybe in 10 years' time? And there's an increasing number saying no, if things worked out in Australia or if head off to wherever they want to go, different parts of the world, that no, I'd be quite happy to stay there for the rest of my life and pop home now and again for a wee holiday, you know. So that, I thought that was just, it's you know, definitely there's been a step change there in the last few years. And it is, look, they have, in many ways, they have way more opportunities. Maybe we do need to sell this place a bit better. I think we do, though. Like, I do think with John, we do kind of highlight, like, Donegal's a great place to live. And, you know, a lot of Donegal people are quite open and outspoken about it, and whether it's on their social media, taking pictures during the summer of the lovely locations to live in. And, you know, with now the advent of high-speed broadband, there's a lot of opportunities to work in this county. So maybe we could plug that a wee bit more. But look, young people are, when they see the high cost of living, there's a sense they feel that they're getting ripped off, you know, compared to anywhere else in the world, and that they can get better.
They're tuned in, they're switched on, and they know what's going on. All right. I was just curious of your views on that, because I mean, maybe it was a question to myself that I put out loud to you guys, if you know what I mean. Okay, back with more from our guests after this break. Stay where you are. Back in about 3 minutes.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by the Northwest Truck Fest, taking place this Saturday and Sunday in the grounds of Milford Mart, with proceeds to Donegal Down Syndrome.
Country Sundays at the Clannery Hotel Letterkenny. Sunday the 27th of August, Michael English and his band. Sunday the 3rd of September, Jimmy Buckley and his band. Doors open 8:30, dancing 9 till 11. Admission €15 on the door. B&B plus ticket only, €70 per person sharing. Country Sundays at the Clannery Hotel Letterkenny.
Apply online for learner permit and driving licence services, including renewals, updates, exchanges and replacements. It's easy and hassle-free. Visit NDLS online today at ndls.rsa.ie. Verified MyGov ID required. A message from the Road Safety Authority.
This fire grid's burnt out again.
I told you, get a heavy duty grate from Fire Grates Donegal.
But I need one right away.
Sure, they have them in stock and ready to go for stoves, open fires, back boilers, ranges, and they even make them to measure.
OK, what's their number?
Hold on a minute, I'll go and get it.
Fire Grates Donegal. Call 086 860 2012 or find them on Facebook. Fire Grates Donegal also deliver to your door. You couldn't beat that.
For all the biggest names in cosmetics and makeup, visit McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Choose from Lancome and Clarins, Blank Canvas, Inglot, Note and many more. With a great selection of gift sets also available in-store and online. For any cosmetics or makeup queries, just talk to our resident skincare consultants Mary or Gemma. McGee's Chemist, Main Street Letterkenny, and online at mcgees.ie. With the best, costs less.
The Redcastle Oceanfront Golf and Spa Hotel would like to invite you to their wedding fair on Sunday, 3rd of September from 2 till 5 p.m. Meet the wedding team, top industry suppliers with breathtaking views, refreshments and great incentives for bookings made on the day. For more information, please contact events@redcastlehotel.com.
It's the 9 till noon show in association with the Northwest Truck Fest this Saturday and Sunday at Milford Mart with live music, family fun, a truck convoy and much more.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated €85 million. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
The stunning 4-star Ballyliffin Lodge and Spa are hosting their fantastic wedding fair on Sunday the 27th of August from 1 to 4 p.m. Full hotel show around, nearly 40 top-class wedding exhibitors, plus so much more. One fair not to be missed.
New this week at Home Store and More. All painting and DIY accessories are all half price. But better hurry, because when all the half price painting and DIY accessories are gone, they're gone. Also, all home office desks and chairs are still all half price. But when all the half price home office desks and chairs are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More, or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. New store now open in Frascati Centre, Blackrock, Dublin. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Looking to upgrade your home appliances? Irwin's Expert Electrical have you covered. Purchase any AEG and Electrolux home appliance and get up to a whopping €250 cashback. Planning to buy more than one appliance? There are multiple cashback amounts waiting for you. The more you buy, the more you save. Visit Irwin's Expert Electrical today and discover the amazing savings. Offer ends August 28th.
Do you have your ticket yet?
€2,500 every Friday.
Plus a chance to win big.
10,000 cash money.
Your ticket today.
Go to highlandradio.com. Summer's just got better.
Ooh.
Okay, welcome back to the programme. 55,000 Ukrainians will have a vote in next year's local elections. The right is not new, though. Irish citizenship is not a requirement for voting at local elections. John, do you think it's a correct approach? And do you think it'll impact the outcome of elections here? Because we have quite a percentage of eligible Ukrainians to vote.
Yeah, we have several thousand, maybe 6,000 or 7,000 of them. It has the potential to impact the results. Of course it has. Should they have a vote? Of course, they're living here. Why shouldn't they have a vote? I would be all for that, provided they're registered. How many of them would want to vote here? How many of them are into our kind of local politics? Do they understand it at all? Those are things that would have to be all teased out. Probably beyond that, to a general election, there's a real possibility that they will have a vote. I wouldn't be too sure that we'll have it in time for next June, because after all, it's not that far away. The same argument goes, should 17-year-olds, you have all of these new dimensions coming into our lives, should 17-year-olds have a vote, given that at that age they're much more mature than they were now? You could just go round and round in circles. But I do believe that where people are resident in the country for a year or thereabouts, and they're bona fide people, there's no reason they shouldn't have a vote. Now, whether or not we can encourage them to go out and vote, to fill the potholes in the back of Erica or wherever it is, It's all those local issues that are of prime importance to people voting in local elections. I think the biggest issue that we're going to have in upcoming elections is how do we get people to come out and vote at all? Because it looks very, very much from talking to a lot of people in politics that the interest in the body politic itself has diminished greatly in the last 5 or 6 years. The fact that you have a very benign type of three-party government where nobody's ever going to rock the boat and nobody's ever wrong and everybody's totally on message has left people wondering, what in the hell are we doing here? What's gone wrong in this country? We have 65 billion going to be stacked away, and it looks as if it's a big hindrance rather than a help to us. So like you have all of those issues all in the melting pot there, but you asked the question about should Ukrainians or people like that have a vote. I would say yes, they should.
Yeah, and I don't think, I mean, obviously, everything's weaponized in this day and age, and you will read that people believe that they've been encouraged to come here to skew the outcome of elections and really to be the tipping point to get Ireland into NATO. I mean, if you look at the figures, and you have for many, many years, you look at the figures and you look at how things play out, you would need an awful lot more than, 100 to 300,000 people coming into this country to skew things in that regard. Plus, you can never guarantee which way they might vote. You wouldn't subscribe to that, I'm sure, John.
I wouldn't subscribe to that at all. We probably have about 5,000 Ukrainians and other refugees in Donegal. It wouldn't have any impact at all, except at a local level, and that would probably pan out in whatever local area that you happen to be based in. You probably are going to be likely know more about your local candidates, let it be up in Inishowen or in Donegal Town or here in Fanet. I think, that involvement is more important, participation is more important than, this conspiracy theory that has become part of various societies is absolutely soul destroying, and social media is driving it, that, that everything's now a part of NATO, and everything's part of a conspiracy theory to create global warming, as if, I've just been talking to a couple of people this week with some of the maddest ideas about a system going on in Austria to add to the global warming. These are rational people.
My brain hasn't woken up sufficiently to even question you on that. Kathy, what do you think? What do you think? Do you have an issue with? And as I say, it's long-standing. It's not something that's been parachuted in now to suit a situation. Do you have any issue with the 55,000 odd Ukrainians who will have a vote in next year's local elections, and anyone living here that's not an Irish citizen? Do you have any concerns about that?
No, none at all, Greg. I feel that if people are living here, then they should have a stake in their community, and if they're in a local area and they can impact change in their local area, then they should do that. From my experience of meeting people from other communities, from outside communities who come into Ireland, they are so engaged. They actually are a lot more engaged than some local people. They know what's going on. They want to be part of the society. They want to say, well, here's my heritage. How can I share it with you? I think you used the word weaponized there, Greg, and I think that's what's going to happen. That's what we're going to see happening now. And I think it's up to, rational, reasonable people to take this down, right? We were the people, if you think about years ago, we were the people who got on ships to leave these shores. Every part of every promontory and rocky outcrop on this island, there are, people used to go and light fires as the famine ships sailed off with their loved ones down locks and into the Atlantic Ocean. We cannot forget that we were those people trying for a new start somewhere else. And Irish people built the citadels of this world and did great. And are we saying that they should have had, the shoe on their neck not to let them come up? We need to be welcoming.
Well, the shoe was there. If you speak to people that went to Glasgow or parts of America.
My point is, I suppose, Greg, we cannot forget the Irish experience, okay? And I think that this weaponizing is going to happen, and we are going to see it a lot more. And I think that reasonable people have got to remember and tell the stories of who we were and what we did and how we went out into the world. And we need to think of the people coming here. Okay, they're coming here, because, they're hoping to build a new life here.
It's funny the figure is 55,000 Ukrainians, because the 55,000 figure, not so long ago, in the last couple of years, it used to be the undocumented Irish in America. And the regular conversations on shows like this was to give them the rights, to allow them to come home for funerals or weddings, and to allow them to pay tax and live their lives there and move in and out of the country. And somewhere along the line, us having conversations about trying to get those rights for Irish people in America were replaced by trying to deny people rights in Ireland. It's just, the world has changed so significantly in such a short window that we've gone from trying to get people illegally in another country recognised and rights to that's not even talked about now. And really, it's almost an awful lot of people discussing about removing people from this country or denying them rights, which I think is just, it's just an awful big change in a really short period of time. Joseph, do you have anything to fear with someone who's not Irish voting? I don't know.
No, not at all. In fact, the opposite. I think it will enhance our democracy and it should be encouraged. And I wholeheartedly agree with John. The participation is what's important. It's how do you get non-nationals to engage with politics? And I'm not as well clued in as Kathy would be, but it's great to hear that so many non-nationals are interested in what's going on, and look, they have fresh perspectives and fresh insights that we can really benefit from. And you only, as you say, in America, you only have to look to America, how well the Irish did when they went over there over the centuries. And part of that was, hard work, hard graft, but also it was the right to vote in local state elections. And even when they weren't technically legal in some cases, legal residents, they still had the right to vote until things tightened up in the latter part of the 19th or even the 20th century. So, I mean, the Irish vote has had a big impact in several regions within the US, and a positive impact. And now, I'm sure at the time, people in America were saying, should we give these Irish people the right to vote? Or what, they had all sorts of fears and different superstitions and conspiracy theories. And today, we're celebrated over there for the great contribution we've made to American society. So I think we need to look at our history, and we should be encouraging this. And anyone who's living in a country, in my opinion, for a decent period of time, about a year, I think, is what John said, I'd agree with that. I think that should definitely, there's no taxation without representation was the Sons of Liberty slogan in America. So they're working, they're paying their taxes, and they should be entitled to be represented.
Which is kind of funny, because that's a direct quote from one of our students last Friday on the conversation of whether 16 and 17-year-olds should be able to vote. No taxation without representation, or representation because of taxation. And Kathy, I get the impression from you that you think it's time that the maybe silent majority spoke up a bit. Is that what you were sort of getting at there, Kathy, in terms of some of these issues that are being played out on social media platforms, which I find are becoming increasingly places I avoid?
Yeah, I think so, Greg. And what you do hear is that the loudest voices are not always the most reasonable ones either. And on social media, I mean, you dare to put your head above the parapet to try and put, an alternative view, or to put some of these things out there, you will be shot down. So I hope that Elon Musk does not remove the block button, because I'll be in a bit of bother if he does. But
that's going to happen. But I just think it's going to depopulate the space, because and so he could be. And the thing is, the reason he's doing it is because I keep blocking advertisers, and I'm not saying it's my fault, but I'm kind of normal. And if I keep
he's got to get his money back.
If I keep pushing certain types of blocking certain types of ads, everyone else is doing it too. Kathy, lovely to have you on the programme again. Thanks so much for accepting the invite, and hopefully we'll chat again soon. Kathy Donaghy, journalist and author of Finding My Wild. Joseph McBride's a teacher and co-author of Power and People, Leaving Cert Politics and Society. Thank you so much for your time, Joe. Really appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Greg. Have a great weekend ahead.
You too. You're all prepping for next week, presumably.
Yeah, you've done me a favour here. I was able to dodge a meeting there, so
get back into it. It's not too late.
Back at it now and catch up for last time.
And John, always a pleasure. You know that yourself.
Of course I do. Thank you very much, Greg.
Thank you. Take care, John. We'll be back with more after the news and obituary notices.
Looking for the best staycation ever? Well, you're in luck. We teamed up with Vulture Ireland and asked the public what their favourite staycation activities are in Sligo, and they didn't disappoint. Call and text that there is such amazing history on display at Drumcliff Church. It's well worth a day out. Betty said she loved her day with the sheepdogs at Atlantic Sheepdogs. It was such a unique experience. And Owen texts to say the Sligo Folk Park was a wonderful experience and perfect for anyone interested in Irish history. Deirdre said her husband loved their day in Strandhill. He went surfing with Atlantic Surf School and used the amazing new facilities at the National Surf Centre. And she relaxed in the yoga seaweed baths, while Aoife said her kids loved the half-day sea safari with Enniscrone boat tours learning about the birds and wildlife. Plan your best vacation ever at discoverireland.ie and experience the feeling of a holiday all in one day.
New football boots just arrived at Brian McCormick Sports. Adidas X Crazy Fast in new white, green or classic black. Adidas Copa Pure in classic black. New Puma King range in soft ground or firm ground. Kids football boots for all sizes in many new colours. Match up your boots with an Adidas or O'Neill set of socks and shorts. Brian McCormick Sports, your football specialist. Click on bmcsports.ie or call in Main Street, Letterkenny.
Don't miss Johnny Brady live at the Highlands Hotel Glenties this Friday, 25th of August. Doors open at 8 with support from Conor O'Donnell before Johnny Brady takes to the stage. Admission €17.50. That's this Friday night at the Highlands Hotel Glenties.
Looking for a good night's sleep? Restex Beds has you covered. Located at Mountaintop, Letterkenny. They are the best in the Northwest to get a quality bed or mattress. Come visit them today and wake up feeling rested and refreshed. Restex Beds, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by the Northwest Truck Fest, taking place this Saturday and Sunday in the grounds of Milford Mart, with proceeds to Donegal Down Syndrome.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. The Education Minister says a decision to award Leaving Cert grades, which were broadly in line with last year, was made because of the unique situation of this year's class. Norma Foley intervened in July to instruct state exam bosses to ensure this year's results were no lower on aggregate than last year's. For many, it was the first time they'd sat a state exam after the Junior Cert was cancelled during the pandemic. The 2023 Leaving Cert results are being released online around now. Minister Foley says while grades were broadly in line, there wasn't as much choice in the exams as was had by the class of 2022.
Previously, we had made a number of accommodations, 2 rounds of accommodations on the Leaving Certificate paper for students last year. This year there was 1 round of accommodations on the paper. So the papers as themselves that students are sitting are beginning to return more and more akin to what students would have sat in 2019.
Donegal ETB CEO Anne McHugh says it's vital that if students feel they would like to look again at their choices, they seek advice from a wide range of sources. This would include family, friends, guidance counsellors and their own research. Ms McHugh told Highland Radio News this morning young people have learned about adapting quickly to new ways of working in the recent past, and she believes this year's class in particular is very, very resilient.
They have not done their junior cycle exams, most of them, and they had all the disruption that came with the COVID lockdowns, etc. So I have absolutely no doubt that this group of students are well ready to face any decisions, any difficult decisions, and their resilience levels, I would suggest, are higher than a lot of other students in the past, because they've been through a lot. For some of them, they'll be making big decisions. The key message is, please talk to people, consult. We've lots of our guidance counsellors will all be available. Speak to whoever you need to speak to so that you can make the right decision.
There's another water outage in the area between Manor Cunningham and Letterkenny. Ishka Aaron say they're currently investigating reports of a supply disruption that's affecting Aughilhard, Rossbracken, Manor Cunningham, Pluck and surrounding areas in Letterkenny. They say more information will follow this morning. The government is being urged to scrap plans to increase excise on fuel next week. Ain't leader Patrick O'Bean says the state's jacking up the price of petrol and diesel for the second time in just a few months. The government argues prices are returning to normal after it temporarily reduced excise duties as a response to the cost of living crisis. However, Patrick O'Bean says this is an attack on drivers, which will be felt particularly acutely in places like Donegal, where there are few, if any, alternatives to the car.
671,000 people are in poverty in this country, 1 million people are barely scraping by at the moment. And yet what we have is rich ministers, literally making it more difficult for struggling families. And this is not happening by accident. This is a deliberate attack, I believe, on drivers and commuters, many of whom don't have an alternative mode of transport.
A post-mortem examination is being carried out today on the body of the teenager who drowned in Cork Harbour. 14-year-old Jack O'Sullivan went missing while swimming with friends in Passage West yesterday. With more, here's Tara Duggan.
The alarm was raised just after 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. The teenager was swimming with a group of friends but disappeared from sight. His body was pulled from the water a few hours later after an operation involving the Coast Guard Service, the R117 rescue helicopter, Crosshaven RNLI and Gardaí, ambulance crews and the fire service. According to the Irish Examiner, it's thought the 14-year-old may have banged his head and lost consciousness. Jack was due to start second year at Coláiste Éamon Rís next week.
Donald Trump has become the first former US president to have had his mugshot taken. He's been booked on more than a dozen charges, all concerned with alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election result in the state of Georgia. It's the fourth time he's surrendered to authorities this year. Speaking after his release at Atlanta Airport, Mr. Trump was insistent that he'd done nothing wrong.
What they're doing is election interference. They're trying to interfere with an election. There's never been anything like it in our country before. This is their way of campaigning. And this is one instance, but you have 3 other instances. It's election interference.
Weather forecast, a mix of sunny spells and isolated showers today, feeling somewhat cooler with top temperatures 15 to 17 degrees Celsius in a fresh northerly breeze. Staying cloudy this evening with isolated showers, some heavier showers possible later in the night. A fresh and gusty northerly breeze will persist with lowest temperatures of 10 to 12 degrees Celsius. Generally cloudy with isolated showers, a few possibly heavy and persistent at times. A fresh northerly breeze with top temperatures of 15 to 17 degrees tomorrow. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. Until then, from the news team, have a very good morning. The obituary notices for this Friday morning, the 25th of August. The death has taken place of Jeremiah Maya Gallagher, Luton, England, formerly of Falduff, Carndonagh. His remains are reposing at his late residence in Glebe, Ballyliffin Road, Carndonagh. Funeral from there today at 12 noon, going to the Church of the Sacred Heart, Carndonagh, for Requiem Mass at 12:30, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on churchmedia.tv. The death has occurred of Margaret Pearl McGee, Drumgumberland Convoy. Remains reposing at her late residence today from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:20 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church Convoy at 11. Interment afterwards in the Old Cemetery. Family time, please, before the funeral tomorrow. Donations in lieu of flowers if desired directly to the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland or care of any family member. The death has taken place of Ishwari Banjara, Church Bray Fawn, formerly of Panoti, Nepal. Her remains are reposing at the Doherty family home in Port Hall, Buncrana. Removal from there on Sunday morning at 11, going to Lakelands Crematorium, Dublin Road, Cavan for cremation. House private for family only, please, on Saturday and Sunday morning. The service can be viewed on the Lakeland Crematorium website. And the death has occurred of Tony Doherty, Skill, Cheerhoran, Clonmany. Tony's remains are reposing at his brother Neil's residence with the house private, please, from 10 p.m. Removal from Neil's residence tomorrow morning at 11 for a celebration of Tony's life at 3 o'clock at Lakelands Crematorium, Cavan. Family flowers only, please. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Looking for an exciting and diverse career? One that's challenging and rewarding? Then look no further than retail. SuperValue offer a range of job opportunities from fresh food specialists to store management. We provide excellent learning and development, enabling you to reach your full potential in SuperValue. Check out supervalue.ie/careers to find out more and apply.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Welcome back to the programme. Good morning if you've just joined us. Thanks again to John, Kathy and Joseph for their contributions over the last hour. But we are heading into final countdown territory. Do you want to be in with a chance to win one of 3 great cash prizes? €2,500 this afternoon, €2,500 next Friday morning on Lee's show, and €10,000 on this programme next Friday. We have a total of €15,000 in cash to give away over the next week, effectively. $2,500 this afternoon, $2,500 tomorrow, next Friday morning, and then 10,000 later on next Friday morning. If you want to be in with a chance in all 3 draws, you do really need to buy your tickets now, because lines will be closing in the afternoon. You can go onto our website, highlandradio.com, and you'll see the Mega Summer Cash Draw banner there. Click into it and you can purchase your tickets. They are a tenner, so please only buy them if you can afford them, and you can have a punt like you might the lotto or the bingo or something along those lines. But if you want to buy multiple tickets, either yourself or with other people, you get a free ticket if you buy 5. You get 2 free tickets if you buy 8. And you can, as I say, go onto our website right now, but you have to get onto it now this morning if you want to be in all 3 draws. That's the only thing I would say to you. So €2,500 given away this afternoon, €2,500 on the naughty alarm clock next Friday, 10 grand on the 9 till noon show next Friday. If you want to give us a call here at the radio station as well, you can do so 07491 25,000, and we shall process your ticket for you online. Or, as quite a number of you do, you prefer to call in and pay in cash, you'd need to get up to us this morning or early afternoon and buy your tickets, as I say, if you want to be in all 3 draws. We have the Trombola there with all the lucky tickets so far in it, and your name could be going into that draw drum. You have as much chance as anyone else in winning $2,500 this afternoon, 2,500 on the naughty alarm clock next Friday, 10,000 on this show next Friday as well. And that will be it, the end of Highland Radio's Mega Summer Cash Draw. But as I say, just to reiterate, because I don't want anyone to miss out, if you want to be in all 3 draws, you need to get onto us right about now. Damien McGowan, Falmore Dunlow, super proud of you today from Granny and Grandad. Well done, Damien. Hi, Greg and team. I'd like to say good luck to Amy McDade in Termon on her leaving results today from Mum and Dad and all the family in Termon, Cashel, Shanahan and Trenta. Thanks, team. It's our pleasure. Please say congratulations to Susan Eveson in Milford on the birth of her new grandson from Mary. I hope I've got your surname correct, Susan, but you will know you because you have had a baby, and a very proud Mary texting us in there. Ailish Duffy's in Buncrana, and it's her 70th birthday today. Happy birthday to you, Ailish, from Teshi and Sharon. Us all here as well, of course. Erity Hegarty's in Glenties, and he's 18 today. Erity, it's a lovely name. Happy 18th birthday to you. Welcome to adulthood, Erity. Lots of love from Mary, Anthony, Mark, Rachel and Esme in Burton Port. I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend. I wondered, did you get results as well today? 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text for any of your calls and comments, or if you want to get involved in the conversation or even send in a request or dedication. We talk often on the programme about, the oversight, from Google and Twitter, X, and, they know what we're doing and they're tracking your movements and all this kind of stuff. And I just got an email during the 10 o'clock news from Amazon, to tell me that the batteries in my remote control for my Fire Stick are going flat. Isn't that crazy? I mean, it's great because I'll change them. But I got an email. So my remote control told my Fire Stick. The Fire Stick told Amazon, who owns it, of course. And they, somewhere along the lines, a program was triggered that sends me an email to tell me to change the batteries in my remote control. Crazy, isn't it? But that's the kind of world we live in now. This comparison is not equal. Yes, we went to America, Australia and elsewhere, but we were not handed as much as a cup of tea. If I go to any other country today, like America or Australia, I must provide documentation to prove I can keep myself for 6 months or I'm turned down for a visa. Yet here it's open doors. But again, there are still in excess of 50,000 people that entered America. It could be much more, and other countries as well that aren't documented. You know, that is just a fact, because, as I say, we advocated on their behalf for so long here on this programme. And I know people that only recently, through one means or another, managed to get actual citizenship. There's people from Donegal living in America with children that could be deported at any given time. So there is the comparison. There are lots of us living elsewhere that aren't legal. That being said, yes, we were given opportunities and we took them. And maybe we should be given opportunities for people to take as well. Are asylum seekers allowed to vote in Ireland? I'm not sure what the rules are in terms of asylum seekers. I think if they've been here for a certain period of time, they are, but I'll double check that. Regarding Ukrainians voting in Ireland, as they are only guests in Ireland and not Irish born, the government know they won't get into power next election. This is just temporary imported votes for government to get back in. If Ukrainians are allowed to vote, then I will not be voting. Well, they are allowed to vote. But this presumption that everything's rosy in the garden and that Ukrainians would instantly vote for the Irish government just because... I mean, can you imagine if a load of Irish people went to Australia and were housed in hotels over there to escape something that was going on in this country? Would we just automatically just vote for the government that was in power? I would actually say maybe independents, even opposition parties, might be better organised in polling these people or encouraging them to vote. I don't see at all the given whereby anyone who's come to this country votes for the government parties just because they're here. I don't buy that, because I can't see us doing it in another country. A certain amount of them will. I think most won't bother voting at all, but I think a certain amount of them, of course, will vote for government parties. But I'm sure others will have made acquaintance in local communities with other parties as well and might be inclined to vote for them. Does this woman not know anywhere the Irish went? They had to work very hard to survive. We were not met at the airport at anywhere else and handed out money. These people coming to Ireland are bleeding the state dry, and we're putting them in hotels, for God's sakes. I think that was the point Kathy was making. We went to, and we've spoken to them. This is not an argument about whether refugees should be here or not. I'm not having that argument, but I'm talking about the Irish experience in travelling abroad. I know I went and worked in London. I know what it was like not to be welcome there, to face very unpleasant situations because of where I was from, to have I know it sounds strange because over here I might sound like I've got a different accent, but over there it's very clear where I'm from, being treated differently because of my accent, the name calling, being told to get out, being told that, you know, referencing the IRA and all that type of stuff. There's lots of people listening to this programme that went over to Scotland. They weren't made very, very welcome there. It was unpleasant. Yes, they went over and worked, but it wasn't open doors. And, you know, and here right now, there are people here that are experiencing the same thing that we experienced elsewhere. That's a fact. Okay, but that doesn't... I'm not saying that then that's also a reason to make decision A, B, C or D. I'm only talking about facts. The facts are that we know all about leaving this country and struggling and being mistreated and prospering despite all of that. But it's all in our history. I've experienced it. I'm not sure who else listening has experienced it. I said it before, we'll keep on saying it until people wake up and see the difference between the Irish diaspora and the modern day immigration. We get nothing free. They get everything free here. Good morning, Greg. We were the people. I'm tired of hearing that we never got a thing for free. We got nothing. We were treated worse. We weren't even thought of as white. Right, okay. Local elections are a farce as the county council has no power anyway, so it doesn't matter who votes. It's only a pretense at democracy in this country. Well, that's why perhaps the turnout for council elections is dwindling all of the time. And that's why if certain independents or opposition parties organise in a certain way, they can end up really quite successful, because some people will be very motivated to vote, and obviously then there's a great deal of apathy. One person actually giving up their democratic right to vote if Ukrainians are allowed to vote. So maybe there will be big changes in the next local elections. Who is to say? OK, we'll be back with much more in the 9 till noon show, of course, but let's first take a break for the bingo numbers.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday, the 25th of August. You're playing on the yellow sheet. The reference number is S10. It's game number 34. The numbers are 17, 63, 36, 78, 77, 18, 43, 26, 65, and finally 58. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Attention one and all, Easy Living Furniture is turning 25 and we're celebrating with an amazing anniversary sale this bank holiday weekend. Join us for our biggest sale ever, and with free delivery on all orders over £500, this is one sale not to miss. But hurry, as this amazing sale must end soon. Visit Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park. Easy Living Furniture, making homes great since 1998.
What's your dream job? Lawyer? Software developer? Engineer? Or criminologist? Do you want to develop renewable energies? Create the next great drama? Or improve people's health? Anything is possible at Ulster University, where you can study in the heart of Derry Londonderry. Clearing places are now available to help you realise your ambitions. It's time to say hello, future. Apply now for September 2023 at ulster.ac.uk/clearing.
It's that time of year again, back to school season. Are you ready to gear up for success? At Irwin Expert Electrical, we've got everything you need to make this school year a breeze with our back to school tech supplies. From laptops that spark creativity to tablets that unlock knowledge. We have the latest tech at unbeatable prices. Irwin Expert Electrical, Letterkenny and Buncrana.
It's the 9 till noon show in association with the Northwest Truck Fest this Saturday and Sunday at Milford Mart, with live music, family fun, a truck convoy and much more.
Thank you for all your calls and comments so far this morning. We will be getting to them, of course. A caller says, "Morning, Greg. We left our shores, but we had to work and work hard. We did not get free money, housing, school, doctors, etc. When family members went to Australia, they had to have visas to get into the country and worked hard. Nothing was free when people had to leave their homes in Northern Ireland because of the Troubles back in the 70s. They got nothing for free." Another caller says, "Come on, Greg, let's stop the crap talk on your show and tell the truth for once." Well, everyone's getting their views. I'm reading everyone's views on the programme at the moment. So we're not here to adopt not here, this show as such, but I mean in our conversation, to adopt a position and that's it, and stick to it. I mean, we talk, we converse, we explain, we express our views. Some people will stick with their views, some people will change the views, but we platform all different views and have different conversations, and that's the way we've always been. And is that not the way we should be, rather than, one person who's got one view ends up surrounded by, on your social media, on your Facebook, do you not find now at this point that really, everyone that you interact with thinks the same as you? You must have spotted that at this point. Whether you believe we should be doing this, that and the other, or any other social media, for an example. How is that healthy? Where is the exchange of views, the conversation? People are blocking and defriending, and you find yourself in this echo chamber where everyone agrees with you, and then there's another group over there and everyone agrees with them. I don't see any interest in that personally, because what we're doing here is reading people's comments of all different points of view. Right, okay, back to more pressing matters immediately, and that's a conversation with Lynn McDevitt, who's a cancer survivor and campaigner for better cancer services. Lynn, thank you very much for joining us. What's a difficult time for you at the moment? We do appreciate you helping us highlight this issue.
Yes, Greg, and thank you for having me on.
No, it's no problem. What has your experience been over the last couple of days?
Well, I'm just saying we were in casualty yesterday for nearly 12 hours. And casualty has got worse instead of better for the doctors, the nurses, the bed manager. Everybody in that hospital is under severe pressure. They're doing the work of 5 people. And I don't think they're appreciated. And my qualm today is with our councillors, our TD and our minister. Now, I seen this with my own eyes yesterday. Vulnerable people, people in pain, children, pregnant ladies, grannies, grandads, everybody sitting. Everybody was in pain and vulnerable. The doctors and nurses was doing their very, very best. But sadly, I would say every time I came out, there was another two people added to the wee room that we were in, right? And there were no dignity, there were no, what I'm trying to say, everybody seen what everybody was
no
getting
privacy
done.
at all.
No
and
privacy,
Lynn, before
sorry, that was my word.
And I think it's very gracious of you to be talking about other people's experiences and recognising that as well. But you were there for a reason. Someone close to you is yes. at the moment with cancer, and a cancer patient gets a red card. Okay, now this is a red card that you haven't really used at all. So explain the red card, what it's meant, what it's meant to do.
Right. Well, if you're on chemotherapy, radiation, any kind of cancer treatment, if you're on it and you're having difficulty with it, you get a red alert card, and you phone the number on that card, and they go through a list of questions on the phone, and then they'll say, you come in here, you're supposed to get right up to oncology or a ward with this card if you have symptoms, right? Well, it didn't happen yesterday. We went in at 9:20 and we never got a bed till 8:10.
Right, so
in the evening.
Almost 12 hours.
Almost 12 hours.
And were you sat actually in the ED itself for the 12 hours? Or Lynn, I'm asking so people, because I'll tell you what the situation is that people who've never been to the ED don't really know what's going on there. You have, of course, and you have an understanding. But then what happens is for some reason or other, they have to go there with an elderly relative or a young person that's twisted their ankle or something, and then their eyes are wide open to what the reality is like there. So talk us through the day yesterday, Lynn.
Right, but we went in first at 9:20. We phoned first and we were told to be there at 9:20, that some lady would come down and meet us, right? We went in and we were told we had to go through the A&E. Even we had phoned, we still had to go through the protocol, which we did. We sat for about an hour and then we couldn't sit no more. We had to get lying flat. So we asked the triage nurse, everybody couldn't have been nicer. And we got into the wee room to lie down, with one of the hard beds. But anyway, I wasn't lying in it. I'm just saying, we never seen that nurse till 4 o'clock in the day that was supposed to meet us at 9:20. Now, I'm only talking about our own experience. Doctors had came in. I don't envy. What I'm on here today to say is our politicians are taking wages for doing jobs in Donegal that are not getting done. Right. We have a minister in Donegal. There was at least 100 people in that emergency yesterday, all in pain. Some of them are still sitting in pain. We were lucky we got a bed. That poor bed manager, maybe, not quote me on this, had 3 beds and maybe 25 people in need. What was she supposed to do? Invent beds. So where's our politicians and TDs? They shouldn't get another penny wages till they sort out our hospital.
And also,
because they're vulnerable people.
You mentioned it, people going through very difficult situations, pregnant people, a pregnant woman, a child, people with renal issues, what yous were going through. You're stripped of dignity too, because you're asked questions, everyone can hear them. You almost have to say, right, you know what? Everything that the dignity I try and maintain in general life, you have to, often in these situations, you have to give it up.
Yeah, that's it. You leave your dignity at the door and collect it on the way out. But I'm just saying, our nurses and doctors are walking angels, right? And I really mean this, walking, breathing angels. But it's the hospital staff, the wee girl going round to give you the tea or the coffee. It was like a maze, Greg. She was pushing her trolley in and out. The fellas, they're all trying to keep a smile on their face. The management in Letterkenny Hospital couldn't run a bath. Right, so it's time the Donegal people got behind each other on this and got this sorted out once and for all. But
they will say, what they'll say though, Lynn, they'll say, and listen, we interviewed the head of CELTA a couple of weeks ago, and I mean, I can't hold him down and force him to give answers. But the same answers is the same answers, that, you know, there's a lot of money's been put into the hospital. There are positions available that they can't fill. They're obviously negotiating to get hospitals working on a 24/7 basis, but there's resistance from certain unions, and it's like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. They'll say that they're struggling to get step-down care. They're struggling to get places for people in the community. They're struggling sometimes to get families to accept loved ones' homes, because the family are saying, no, that person's too sick to leave the hospital, and on and on and on and on and on it goes. Like, you know, all those problems, like the people that you think should be sort of hiding from them, they're admitting that those are all the problems. So it's all out there. What do we do to...
Where's the money? Where's the money? We need money and resources and more beds, more nurses and more staff. Because wait, I tell you, a TD comes home at 6 o'clock in the night or 5. He gets expenses. He gets his lunch wherever he is. What does the nurse or doctors get? They maybe finish at 8 and have another half an hour to change over. They don't get extra money or anything. I'm just saying, nobody in this... We need to sort out Donegal, because we're the forgotten county one more time, and I'm really angry in this today because I sat through it yesterday, Greg. Right. GACC thought we took 10,000 people to our street on a wet Sunday and got keeping the breast cancer clinic. So why can we not do this? It's okay, you speaking to a man in a suit. Get that man in a suit down to emergency and see what's going on. Just let him sit there for 3 hours.
Yeah. See, what I don't understand, Lynn, what I don't understand when we have a recruitment issue and we can't get the staff right, why are we putting 65 million odd billion away or billions away as a rainy day fund when it's piddling it down now? Why don't we properly pay our nurses to attract, even if we retained qualified nurses here, we wouldn't have to suck other needy countries dry of their medical professionals. Like, what I don't understand is, why are the nurses and doctors, where it's proper that they aren't they properly looked after and resourced? Why are we putting money away for a rainy day, as I say, when it's flooding right now? That's what I can't understand.
No, I can't understand it either, but we have to get behind the nurses and doctors here. We're not going to have any... The Donegal needs to stand out. We need to get out there and get that hospital sorted. Right, I really mean that, Greg. There's sick, vulnerable people every day up there. I was only up there for a few hours, and it's not getting any better. And us talking about, we have people power at the end of the day, but we need people to come out, and the TDs shouldn't get another penny to sort out the problems in Donegal. I'm talking about health today, right across the board, and our nurses should get double wages. They should get what TDs is getting. And I really mean that. Doctors, nurses and hospital staff deserve medals. And they need more resources, more beds. Anybody up there last night, see, just off the top of my head, 20 people waiting on beds. And how many beds? How many still sitting there this morning? And then we had chairs. I swear to God, we had chairs just for you not to go to casualty. Did you try sitting on one of the hard chairs for an hour?
I've done 9 hours, 12 hours in one instance on them.
I'm just saying, it's unreal for wee babies, sick babies, mammies. You can't even leave your baby to go and get a drink of water or anything. You're relying on the staff again to bring you water to your room. The mammies with the wee sick children, the person there on their own, you're going to get pyjamas, slippers if you think they're staying in, and then they get told, oh, I'm sorry, there's no beds, you have to wait another hour. The poor bed manager's going off her head, the nurses are going off her head, and they're all keeping this lovely smile on their face to try and keep you positive. No, not in this day and age. I don't care. See, when the elections come up, don't vote for them. Make them do a thing now in Highland Radio for me, and every politician or TD or minister. Our minister should be ashamed of himself to say he's a minister in Donegal when our hospital and our health service isn't the way it is. And there's no way, even we want a PEP scan, we have to go to Dublin. A centre of excellence. Where was our centre of excellence last night when about 50 people in emergency needed help?
It's better to have a minister. Is it not better, though, to have a minister in your area that can, even if it's not successful, make these representations, though, on I mean, because I interviewed the Minister for Health not so long ago, and he was going, we recognise there are challenges. The challenges in all hospitals. We've just invested an extra 30 million in Letterkenny University Hospital. You know the stuff that you hear, Lynn. You've been listening to it for a very long time.
If they recognise the challenges should be fixed before they recognise another challenge. Let them all go up and sing off the one ham sheet and get one thing sorted. But this is vulnerable people in pain that we are talking about, getting drips in a corridor. Wait, I tell you, that day has gone. And poor doctors, neither wonder anybody wants to be a doctor in Donegal. Where's the incentive for them?
I worry about... I mean, firstly, a massive amount of people leave the ED before their treatment is completed. We have those figures now. We know that. So lots of people in that situation yesterday just get up and go. My concern is, as well as everything that you've been talking about, Lynn, is the people then that say, I will not go back. Like your husband won't, right? But I know there are people who've had that experience and you know, the next time they're sick, I'm not doing it again. I'd prefer to die. I'd prefer to die in my own bed in my house than sit for 12 hours in the ED. Those conversations are happening in houses all across this county. And people, if you've had those conversations with someone when they've said, I'd prefer to die than sit there for 9, 10, 11, 12 hours, text us 08660 25,000, because I know those conversations are happening. But also people leaving before their care is completed and people even maybe being discharged when they're not ready to be discharged. Like there's a whole, underneath the ripples that we're talking about, there's a whole different crises that's costing people's lives and costing years of their lives that we can't put a figure on. But I know it's there because I'm of the area and I speak to people.
But who do we hold accountable for what's going on a daily basis in Letterkenny General Hospital and the doctor's surgeries? Because they're as bad. You phone and you can't get anybody. 2 days later, you might get somebody to ring you back. People in their houses, I'm only talking daily. This is going on across Donegal, rural Donegal, but you think if you came all the way in from Marroti or Donegal town to Letterkenny Hospital, I'm just saying, and then sat there for 9 hours and maybe have to go way back to get things, run to Duns Run. I'm just saying, Greg, somebody has to be accountable for Letterkenny General. And I mean, you go down and sat in it, Greg. Send anybody, get a photographer in. I'm just saying it has to get better. This can't get any worse. We've been on here so many times telling, but our politicians, TDs, ministers are all getting paid good, honest money. What's our doctors and nurses getting? Peanuts, and it's them that's carrying the can.
Yeah, well, that's why they're quitting or moving or going elsewhere, and that's why we can't hire them. Lynn, you've been heard today. Thanks. I hope everyone gets well as much as possible soon. Thank you very much, Lynn McDevitt there. 08660 25,000.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by the Northwest Truck Fest, taking place this Saturday and Sunday in the grounds of Milford Mart, with proceeds to Donegal Down syndrome.
Strong demand drives prices at early weaning sales. For more in this week's Irish Farmers Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
Special weaning sales set positive tone for suckler farmers. Steadier beef prices, good news for store cattle trade. Eye in the Sky prompts thousands of farm payment queries. Vibrant trade for breeding ewes. Calls for farmers to be paid to reduce milk output. Latest straw prices and advice on chopping straw. Plus in Irish Country Living, find out what your legal liability is when someone walks on your farm.
All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal, on sale now.
Donegal Texel sheep breeders are holding a sale of 87 rams and 9 ewes in Rafu Livestock Mart this Saturday, the 26th of August, with a sale at 12:30 p.m. Online bidding via the Mart Bids app. That's this Saturday at Rafu Mart.
Looking for a good night's sleep? Restex Beds has you covered. Located at Mountaintop Letterkenny. They are the best in the Northwest to get a quality bed or mattress. Come visit them today and wake up feeling rested and refreshed. Restex Beds, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Join me, David James, on the Jive Time Show this Friday, live from the Easy Living Furniture Store at the Crescent Link Retail Park in Derry. Easy Living is turning 25 and they're celebrating with an amazing anniversary sale. We will have great music and chat, so come along and join us and see for yourself the incredible value Easy Living has to offer in their biggest ever sale with all-time lows on quality furniture.
Are you tired of the gym? Get stronger in just 20 minutes per week with Fit 20. Train once a week with a personal trainer in a climate-controlled gym. The surroundings are quiet and peaceful and the machines are spotless. We guarantee measurable results within 3 months or your money back. So what are you waiting for? Try Fit 20 today. Visit fit20.ie to book your free session.
Enjoy family fun this Sunday at the Northwest Truck Fest at Milford Mart with Truckfest Ted, live music and presentation of the Decky Hullion and George Tracy Memorial Trophies. This ad is sponsored by Cranford Store. 9155 633.
A caller says only people who pay taxes should have a vote. I feel anyone on social welfare benefits should not be entitled to a vote as they contribute nothing to the country. Those on sick benefits is totally different. Again, not to be, we all pay tax. So even if you're on social welfare benefit, and you know, I think it's like about 3 or 4% of the population are unemployed at the moment, which is effective full population, full employment. If they buy milk, they pay tax. If they buy home heating oil, they pay tax. If they buy petrol, they pay tax. If they buy diesel, they pay tax. Everywhere they turn, they pay tax. So are you on about income tax, or do you not count the tax that everybody pays on top of income tax? Greg, after the Navy acquired 2 ex-New Zealand naval ships and then the same department is about to put out to tender for a new MPV ship by the year end, this says a lot about their thinking in the Department of the Defence. Another caller says, good morning, Greg. Ask the panel about the Ukrainian refugees kicking up a stir because they've to now pay for dinner. Where's that happening? Give us the details of that, please. What are these people doing with Irish taxpayers' money other than sending it home, which is illegal? They aren't buying food or paying rent, public travel, free postage back to the Ukraine. The list goes on. So where's the money? We need an audit. So give us more details as to where the stink is being kicked up about it so that we can investigate it a bit more. Hi Highland, I want to bring to listeners' attention the fact that myself and some colleagues have had trouble with cars that are just out of warranty, all the same make. Has anyone else had similar experiences? Also, the main dealer's telling me it could take months to get a new gearbox part for my 5-year-old car because parts are made in the Ukraine. I'm disgusted, they say. Does the panel have a view on the uterus transplant? I would think if you had any transplant, you'd need to be on a number, if not several medicines. How is that healthy for a baby in the womb? Sometimes experimental biology is good and sometimes it's just a step too far. Who governs the ethics around such operations? This is a womb transplant that took place in England during the week. I'm not really sure in terms of rejection medicines. I'm not sure in terms of rejection medicines what that means, but I presume if someone has a kidney transplant, they're probably on the same medicines and they can go on to have children as well, can they? Pardon my ignorance if they can't or if it's not universal. But I presume we know how these medicines might work with pregnancy. A caller says several European governments have asked their voters in a referendum whether they support the new EU migrant deal. On this matter of profound change, should Ireland also have a referendum? What do you think? Should Ireland have a referendum on the new EU migrant deal? I think 1 or 2 are, unless more have announced that they are, and I've missed that. I'd welcome a referendum on immigration. This is primarily what democracy is about, giving the people a say. What would the phrasing of that referendum be? Because it has to be a question. Is it where people are from? Is it their background, their nationality? Is it whether they're vetted or not? Is it whether or not their intent to work or not? I mean, an awful lot of Ukrainians are now working. I don't have the figures. I'll get the figures for you, but an awful lot of them are. So they would tick the tax-paying box. Is that okay? Or is it the fact they're from another country? Or is it to pull the drawbridge up altogether? Or is it only if they're from African countries? Or like, what would the lots and lots of you are texting in or have texted in, and some people it's the same person texting in on different days, are seeking a referendum. What exactly would you want them? Would you want the referendum to be worded like? Let me know. 086 60 25,000. Hi Greg, re-employment for our young people. Greetings from Switzerland, where I'm with my son who's settling into a new job here. He's getting double the salary that he was getting in Ireland with much better working conditions. Irish employers need to waken up, stop being so greedy and stop ripping off both employees and their customers. Also, his tax works out at around 12% overall. Another caller says it's an indictment of successive governments in this country, unfortunately, that young people are leaving in their droves and will not be coming back unless to visit family and friends. Another caller said, Ireland has been educating people for export for years. I was one of those people, but I came home again with money in my pocket and opened my own business. Most people like me go away, but love to return home. Yeah, and hopefully, and that's it. And who would deny a young person the opportunity to go out and see the world and experience different languages and cultures and food and different climate? Yes, of course. And there will always be that group of people, and I'm not sure what percentage it is. I think we are kind of exclusively talking about not those that want to, but those that feel they've got no future here or that they have to. And that is a new crop of people, I would suggest, because there's more now than there would have been a couple of years ago. Good morning, Greg. What your panel needs to understand, and our government, is that the Irish men and women don't want to be killed in war. It's that simple. Tell John quit his Russian scaremongering. He never saw or will be on the front line. They want our kids to leave. For everyone that leaves, 2 illegals come in. I called it from the start. They're here for votes. These illegal non-citizens should and will not have a vote. We Irish need to stand up. But again, what way are they going to vote? That's the one part of that circle I can't square, in that, I really think it's probably as likely that people who are living here, who have moved here, are going to engage with people that are Sinn Féin, Greens, Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, Independents. I don't think there's living in a hotel room with 2 kids necessarily means that you're going to go, yay, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael. Apparently in Donegal, there's quite a number of Ukrainians that are returning home now. Greg, government running the country down with open borders, says the listener there. If you have a different view to that as well, please text us in, because I do know that, it's, when people are more passionate, they might be more inclined to take the phone out. And I just want to make sure all views are represented as best as is possible. All right, and on they come. Really appreciate your calls coming in. I want to do a bit on the ED first, because with it being Friday, we kind of switch off from the more serious stuff at 11. So I just want to make sure I get through as many as many texts as possible. My partner was in ED emergency department a few weeks ago and was sent home. Sat in an ambulance for 3.5 hours. When she asked for her blood results, she was told her bloods were clear and she wouldn't be getting a scan. A few days later, I got her in bed, barely able to breathe, and sadly, despite the best efforts of the ambulance crew, she passed away. Overcrowding is a serious issue. I'm so sorry for you, for the loss of your partner, and also for the circumstances there. That's a very, very difficult story. My partner was in the ED a few weeks ago, sent home, sat in an ambulance for 3.5 hours. When asked for her blood, she was told her bloods were clear and she wouldn't be getting a scan. A few days later, in bed, barely able to breathe, and ambulance crews tried to resuscitate her, but she passed away. I'm really grateful for you texting in. What must be a very difficult time for you, because I really do also want to get a sense of the consequences of everything that's going on. When people are just leave because they can't take anymore, or when you can't get them to go into the hospital, they say, no, I'm not going into the hospital. I'm not doing that. And what the outcomes of that might be. Because as I think that's the great untold ramifications of the situation that we have. Yes, people have long waits, and then they get a bed, and then they get treatment, and hopefully they get better, and then they get out, and it's a horrible experience that they don't want to repeat. But there are going to be people that leave the ED, and they do in their great numbers. What happens to them? Like that person who didn't get a scan, who's very sadly passed away. I just want people to have an opportunity to tell their stories in that regard as well. You can call Caroline 07491 25000 or WhatsApp or text 086 60 25000. A caller says, Lynn has every right to complain, but the politicians in this country don't care. It's all about self-interest. We all know who will win the next local election. My wife is currently in hospital and our life has been saved because we paid for private care. This country's shocking. Let me see. To anyone who doesn't vote, stop crying when the results are the ones you don't want. Yeah, well, that's really important too, that you do. Right, okay, stay with me. We are going to be talking about the amount of vacant property around the country, the county, and encouragement to get involved with the vacant property refurbishment grant.
It's the 9 to Noon Show in association with the Northwest Truck Fest this Saturday and Sunday at Milford Mart, with live music, family fun, a truck convoy and much more.
Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors, serving Letterkenny and the surrounding areas for over 100 years. Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors. Let our family take care of your family and guide you through a difficult time.
Is fúne atá sé leictreachas úsáid bhealach níos cliste, níos glunne agus níos clise. Ag Electric Ireland, cabhró an muide leat thu a róú an sin. Mar sé ar net zero hub nua an méidetáid tastal wet chun fólum frí fleanana méidir cliste, lucht a wí soáile, agus a wad níos smú. Ag déanamh úsáide níos saléire, turis níos glise, agus saoil níos gille. I'm Sigar Net Zero Hub ag electricireland.ie.
Don't miss the Seven Gables Vintage Working Event this Saturday 26th and Sunday 27th of August at Mullennan on the Derry-Donegal border, which will be signposted. Enjoy a great display of steam engines, stationary engines, cars and tractors. There's also live corn threshing, tractors working, trade stalls, crafts, live music and children's amusements. Proceeds native the Donegal Hospice. This ad is sponsored by Sean McKelvey Thrillers, Gillygordon.
Remember a loved one with a personalised memorial, acknowledgement or wallet cards from BizPrint using your choice of wording and background. Call in and speak to Catherine at BizPrint, Port Road, Letterkenny, or call 9177955.
Our biggest ever summer sale is now on. Up to 70% off while stocks last. Shop in store at Evolve Clothing, Letterkenny Retail Park, or online at evolveclothing.com. Our biggest ever summer sale is now on.
Join me, David James, on the Jive Time Show this Friday, live from the Easy Living Furniture Store at the Crescent Link Retail Park in Derry. Easy Living is turning 25 and they're celebrating with an amazing anniversary sale. We will have great music and chat, so come along and join us and see for yourself the incredible value Easy Living has to offer in their biggest ever sale with all-time lows on quality furniture.
Don't miss the Northwest Truck Fest taking place this Saturday and Sunday at Milford Mart. Enjoy a truckload of fun with live music, a truck lights display and much more. This ad is sponsored by Donegal Oil, 9121633.
Okay, Councillor Patrick McGowan, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Morning, Greg.
Right, okay, we're talking about the vacant property refurbishment grant. You're encouraging people to, if it suits them, to apply for this grant?
Yeah, absolutely. But more than that, I have been speaking to the council. I think we need to be doing a lot more to publicise it. And I would actually say we should identify the property and actually write to them or call. Once we get the folio numbers, we can find out who owns them. We should actually be encouraging, because at the moment there's approximately 300 applications in Lifford. There's about 100 been forwarded now, have been accepted. The rest have been worked on. The team isn't long in place, but to consider there's only 300, I would have thought there was 3,000. It's just unbelievable. Like there's not an MD or anything that wouldn't be 300. And if you look at all these,
just in relation to that, what fund are they drawing down from?
Yeah, this is the vacant property and refurbishment grant. It's either 50,000 or 70,000. Now that's been improved since it was introduced last year. It was 30,000, 50,000. It's now 50,000, 70,000. It's a fairly straightforward grant. If it's a house that's been lying empty in the countryside or a town for more than 2 years, you can get the 50,000 to do it up. Or if there's a fault, say with the roof or a wall that's dangerous, you can get the 70,000. And the good thing, the new thing that was brought on earlier this year was it can be owner occupied, or you can do it up and lease it. Now, by owner occupied means me or you could go out in the morning, buy one of these derelict houses, and we can apply for it.
Okay, just in relation to the funding of this, I saw recently your party colleague, Minister McConalogue, welcoming €4 million allocated to tackle vacancy and dereliction in Donegal. Is that part of the vacant property refurbishment grant, or is that a different funding stream?
Just couldn't be sure. I know this grant is ongoing. There's no date yet for stopping or not, so I'm just not sure which.
But that being said, you talk about how many people are taking up this. There are inroads being made, though. I mean, if you look at this census compared to the last census, there are 18% less derelict properties now than there were 5 years ago.
Yeah, and I've actually noticed quite a few properties there been up done up recently in different areas. Obviously, at the moment of the big housing shortage, people are going along the coast, people like that, like particularly during COVID, everything's been bought up. I know myself, you see properties going up now, it might be up 2 or 3 weeks and they've been sold, and that's not just derelict properties. There is a big demand on property. We need more houses. But the other aspect of this, imagine living in a housing scheme or living in a countryside beside a derelict house that's completely overgrown, maybe rat infested and everything. It's a blight on the countryside. It's a blight in our town. And, you know, we often talk about the carrot and the stick and big brother and government. Here, probably one of the best grants that has ever been brought out, at up to 70,000. Like, it's, you know, it's a no-brainer. If you look at the cost now of getting a greenfield site, putting in roads, doing the landscape, bringing in water and sewage could cost you anything from 5, 10, 20, 100,000 with Irish Water at the moment. Yet no, you can get into one of these houses, get this granted up. Remember, you have the entrance. Look, there may be issues about planning, but these are things that can be sorted out. Them houses are already there. It really is a 1-1. It's a no-brainer.
And the house has to have been built since 2007.
Sorry?
The house that you would be doing up, it says you must have proof that the property has been vacant for at least 2 years and that it was built up to and including 2007. So is that before 2007?
Before.
So,
it's these old derelict buildings and that have been lying there for many. Look, we see street after street. You see, there's not a road in the county that doesn't have several on. Some of them are not that old, but some of them are old for years. So some of the best sites that you could get are actually being taken up by these properties, and it is a 1-1 now. There's also the thing that look, you can buy the property, you can sell, or you can't sell it. Whoever gets a grant has to hold on to it, but you can lease it. You can transfer it to a family name, or the person that buys it can actually take it up. There's so many positives. I know there is one issue which has been raised with me several times, and I'm sure with others, is that you have to put up the money at the start. And that has always been a drawback coming with grants. Like, you're going to have to spend the money. Now, the other good thing is you don't have to spend the entire 70,000 on that part of the house. Say, obviously, a lot of these old houses, bungalows, cottages, you'll be building on extensions. You can use some of that money for the extension as well. Like, it really is a no-brainer. So I've asked the council to be more proactive.
Exactly. And you've talked about the level of applications. So how many applications have gone in total, do we know? 300, did you mention?
There's 300.
Like, how many of those have been successful? How many have been greenlit by the council, I wonder?
Yeah, 100. There's out of the 300 there now at the moment, and I just checked my facts there, there's 100 now been approved. The other 200 are at various stages. There are probably more questions been asked. Maybe dependent, because you do need to get an architect. If you're going to start adding on, you can build to the back of the house without plan permission, but you cannot build to the side or the front. That's very strict. But look, it's best to get, if you're going to be renovating anything, you need to get a professional and do it right. And you have the whole, make sure the water's there and everything else. Well, by the way, as well, in addition to the 50 or 70,000, you can actually apply for the SEAI grant. Now, I know they're slow on that, but that is another addition. I don't know how long this grant's going to last. This type of grant, you know, you could just see it going again, and that's why I would encourage as many people to get to apply for it.
Yeah, the reason I asked about your figures, because if we want to take it seriously, the Department of Housing needs to be taking it seriously. So it was publicised that there were 2,868 applications nationally to this. Of that, 1,000 applicants were approved.
Yeah.
And on top of that, four grants have been made under the €50,000, almost €70,000 property scheme. So the figures don't add up to me, because if 4 have been approved, drawn down nationally, 1,000. So you're saying 10% of successful applications for this scheme have been in Donegal?
No, but remember, you're after saying now drawn down. Approved is one thing.
1,000 approved nationally. 1,000 have been approved nationally.
Yeah, I'm saying that there was 300 applications done in Donegal County Council, and 100 of them has been processed. How many of them has actually started,
Understood.
I would have no idea.
Okay.
So, look, and the other thing is, remember, Greg, this is only a new grant. our staff now has only been put in place. So the engineers have only put in place about 2 months. The other staff,
I only have a minute. I have less than a minute actually, but I just want to ask you: if you any concerns though that this is a rich man's game, because it's very it's very difficult to do a mortgage on one of these properties on the hope of receiving a grant. If you're a cash buyer or well resourced, yeah, you can. But I mean, can a couple who both 30 years of age get a mortgage on one of those derelict properties, and the mortgage company will consider the 70,000, 50,000 euro grant in that process?
Yeah, but look, there's always a reason to do nothing. We could all just sit back, and here we have you on your show, and everybody's talking about derelict buildings and the blight in towns, and here is a solution. It's not a big stick, because remember, on your show as well, people have talked about that the government should be putting charges, and we're supposed to have a derelict officer going round houses telling people they're derelict and putting charges or whatever. There's talk about putting charges. Here, the government going the opposite way.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not the solution for everybody, but look, if you own the property and you don't have the money or having the wherewithal to do it, sell it to somebody that can.
Okay.
As long as it's going through the legal process, as long as it's through the legal process, council will accept that.
All right, okay. Listen, that's why we invite you on to help promote these things, to put across the government side of things. And
I want the council to identify
and an awful lot of people
and be more proactive themselves.
For sure. And an awful lot of people listening to you, by the way, just on that point, will go, yeah, he's right, and yeah, that's right too. That's when we can have conversations like this, we get all sides of the conversation, and I'm sure some people will be encouraged to apply off the back of this convo. Thanks very much.
If they need help, contact me or anybody else.
Yeah, no problem, of course, Patrick. Take care of yourself.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by the Northwest Truck Fest, taking place this Saturday and Sunday in the grounds of Milford Mart, with proceeds to Donegal Down Syndrome.
Shrink your bill with double savers at Dunnes Stores. Save in the aisle with the ingredients for 5 meals for less than €25. That's everything you need for a beef stir fry, fish finger wraps, chicken casserole, vegetable penne pasta, and salmon teriyaki. All for €24.68 when you save with the till with a 5 off 25 grocery voucher. Find all the recipes on our website. Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more.
Where's the party? Bundoran presents Ireland's biggest indoor dancing festival, the World Matchmaking Festival, in 4 venues for 10 days, 10 nights, September 29th to October 8th. Starring 35 bands, including the Tumbling Paddies, Derek Ryan, David James, Declan Nerney, plus blind date and speed dating. Book now for accommodation and entertainment package deals. Log on to showtours.ie or call 0818 300 888. Meet your match in Bundoran. Very special guest from Lisdoonvarna, the world-famous matchmaker, Willie Daly.
Attention one and all. Easy Living Furniture is turning 25 and we're celebrating with an amazing anniversary sale this bank holiday weekend. Join us for our biggest sale ever, and with free delivery on all orders over £500, this is one sale not to miss. But hurry, as this amazing sale must end soon. Visit Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park. Easy Living Furniture, making homes great since 1998.
The Donegal Senior Football Championship is up and running, and you can follow the competition right through to the final here on Highland. Join us on Sunday Sport as we bring you the latest from the round 2 games, including our feature match in Glenties, as holders Nave Connell clash with St. Junans at 4. The championship on Highland is with Highland Motors Letterkenny. Travel in style and comfort class in the Citroën C5 Aircross, available for immediate delivery in diesel, petrol and hybrid.
Don't miss the Northwest Truck Fest, taking place this Saturday and Sunday at Milford Mart. Enjoy a truckload of fun with live music, a truck lights display and much more. This ad is sponsored by Donegal Oil, 9121633.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Okie doke, it is just approaching 2 minutes past 11 and it's time for a news update, and we welcome back into studio Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Education Minister says the uplifting of this year's Leaving Cert results was a fair decision. 62,000 students got their results this morning. In Donegal, over 2,200 second-level students sat the exam, with a number of adults and other students also sitting the exams, most under the guidance of the local ETB. Well, in a statement, Donegal ETB CEO Anne McHugh says it's vital that if students feel that they would like to look again at their choices, they should seek advice from the wide range of sources that are available to them. Ms McHugh says this includes family, friends, guidance counsellors and their own research. Meanwhile, Donegal Gardaí are asking those who receive Leaving Cert results today to enjoy their night out responsibly. Among the advice issued is looking out for friends, ensuring everyone is accounted for at the end of the night, and to avoid walking alone and in dark places. Gardaí have warned also that the implications of taking illegal drugs could damage the future students dream of today. A Donegal teacher has backed calls, meanwhile, for education reform, saying it's time to consider a two-tier system after the junior cycle. Joseph McBride, author of the Leaving Cert Politics textbook, Power and the People, says there are many students whose talents and interests do not lie in the area of academia, and their needs might be better served by a more vocational pathway in their final years in school. The death of 14-year-old Jack O'Sullivan in Cork yesterday has been described as an awful tragedy. He was swimming with friends in Passage West when he got separated from the others. Jack's body was taken to Cork University Hospital for a post-mortem after a full interagency search. The Minister for Rural and Community Development is encouraging Donegal County Council to submit a comprehensive peace action plan with €110 million available to 17 eligible local authorities across the country. Part of the Peace Plus programme, plans will be developed by enabling diverse partnerships led by local authorities to establish and address priority actions and activities for their local areas, which will make a significant and lasting contribution to peace and reconciliation. And there's another water outage in the area between Manor Cunningham and Letterkenny. Uisce Éireann say they are currently investigating reports of a supply disruption to Hotlahard, Rossbracken, Manor Cunningham, Pluck and surrounding areas. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Thanks, Michaela. How do you think that went?
How do you think it went? Obviously didn't go then. Well then.
Anything exciting planned for the weekend?
No. Well, maybe.
Really?
Well, yeah, I might go away on Sunday and Monday. Well, I might go away. We're not certain if I am or not.
Fingers crossed. Okay,
Yeah.
Right, we'll chat later. Michaela Clark there, back with news again at 12.
What would you do if you want? Hello, National Lottery Claims.
Hi, how are you? I was told to ring this number to see how much I'd won in the lotto.
I can check that for you now.
Thank you so much.
Could be anything, couldn't it?
Yeah, weekend away. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Do you have any idea what you've actually won?
I have no idea.
Okay, well I can tell you it's actually €1 million.
Since 2020, more than 100 lottery players in Ireland have won €1 million. The National Lottery. It could be you. Play responsibly. Play for fun.
You're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Our last hour of the week is dedicated to, I suppose, switching off a little bit, planning what we might do, be it the cinema, theatre, TV or whatever over the next weekend or weeks or whatever. Okay, I shouldn't really try and be fancy with my introduction because it simply doesn't work. Good morning, Fanula Rabbit, and good morning to Michael Leddy.
Good morning.
How are you both getting on?
Good.
Good.
Excellent.
Very good.
I think this morning was, I don't want to be depressing in any way, shape or form. I thought this morning was the first sort of, right, we're heading into the autumn now. It kind of felt dark, a wee bit chillier in the morning. It's kind of upsetting, isn't it?
Even last night was very kind of dark and grey clouds, kind of getting colder in the evenings and the whole thing.
Where is the
kids back to school now?
Well, where's that weather? We're supposed to be adults basking in the sun while the kids go back to school.
Oh, a week after next, I'd say.
It'll come. Yeah, it'll
What
come.
happens? Week after next, it'll all turn.
It'll come. Yeah,
hopefully.
Indian summer. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let me see. How was your week, Michael? Everything go well for you?
Yeah, it was a very good week actually. Yeah.
Okay. Topical. Jimmy's Winning Matches is back on Green On Theatre, and of course, this the timing couldn't be better because obviously Jimmy's back now.
It's the best PR they could ever hope for, isn't it?
But you're going to make the point, I am sure, that this is a brilliant show, but you don't have to be a big, massive football fan or even a sports fan, really. The sporting element of this is as much as a mechanism for telling a wider story.
Absolutely, yes. This show was around once before. It was around back in January. Very successful, very well received run, hence its return. For 3 nights, began last night. Again, it's in tonight, it's in tomorrow night in the Green On Theatre here in Letterkenny. And exactly as you said, he's doing me out of a job, Phil, and I have nothing left to say.
I just wanted you to say something different than the last time you watched it.
So, exactly as Greg just said, it's very much, it works in 2 different ways. If you're into the sport aspect, then 100% you're going to get a lot out of this because you will have lived through this experience vicariously by following your team and everything that happened. And if you're not as invested in the sport aspect, it is, and I have seen it before, it is just a story of this young woman over a certain number of years of her life, and we track the highs and lows of her life as well. And some great things happen and some sad things happen, and how she resolves and how she's herself very invested in the team and very invested in their success and that sort of thing. It's very funny. It's a one-woman show. Louise, the lead actor, Louise Conhan, amazing. She is, as I said back in January, I'm sure you remember me saying how dynamic and impressive she is. She's just amazing on stage.
Did you see it in January, Fionnuala?
No, I was away.
You were away from it.
So
it's highly recommended, and it's back, and that's really it. That's why it's on the top of my list.
Is a one-person show different to a multicast?
Absolutely, yeah. Because
is it a different viewing experience?
It is, because I think you have to give that extra suspension of disbelief. I mean, when you go and see a play and there's 5 or 6 people on stage, you can probably suspend your disbelief enough to think, oh, I really am in somebody's kitchen and I'm watching the dad and the mum and the cranky aunt and whatever happens to be. But with a one-woman/one-man show, they play all the characters. So Louise, effortlessly, I stress, conveys not only herself, but her brother, her friend, her father. She conveys everybody in that world. And shows I've seen, both local shows and national shows that have been touring, have always impressed me. Like there's Michael Murphy. You know those
Michael Murphy.
Murphy. His shows are, again, it's like you sometimes come home and you think, did I only really see one person? Is it like, was there not like 10 people on that stage? Louise is a bit like that. You kind of feel like, was there not 3 or 4 other people there with her at some point?
Brilliant. Okay,
and the energy they have to bring to it.
It's an amazing thing to see.
It is, yeah.
The amount, just even, as I said, it's the thing about theatre is you don't really know. There's never it's very hard to have a bad theatre experience because there's usually something you can take from it. But in a one-person show, even if it ends up that the subject matter or whatever within it isn't something that's necessarily, ticks your boxes, but just to see an individual that can capture your attention and have that, for an hour, 15 minutes, that can, move from one person to another. Like, it's an amazing thing to see.
And it's much more communal than I mean, cinema's great and you go to the cinema and that's great. But I mean, and you're in the theatre, particularly for something like this, which is very emotive. It's
we group the cinema in with theatre.
Oh, we do, of course, yeah.
2 very different things.
They are, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
But something like this that will touch a chord, like with a lot of people in the audience, there'll be an emotional response to the subject matter. And then you're in the room with those people and it's a crowd of people and that energy is in the room too. So theatre has that, I think. Okay. It's one of the things it has over cinema,
right?
I think.
Both of you were at Century Cinemas and you watched this. Should I play the? Shall I play the promo for it?
Well,
I think there's beeping in it.
Okay, it better be the beeped one.
Definitely beeping.
It better be the beeped one.
Should we try the beeped one? Yeah. I did PFL it and it seemed okay. Here we go.
Hi there, big dogs. I'm trying to get home.
I know which way that is.
Oh, great.
Right up my ass, you little.
Okay, well, that'll probably do. It was beeped out. Okay, but
I know what they were saying.
I'm still a little bit.
I am going to sack you.
No, I am still a little bit. No, I don't mind that at all.
No, I'm only joking.
Yeah, I'm still a little bit traumatized about it. Because
Totally traumatized.
Mikey texted me. He said, "You come and see Strays," and I, for some reason, because I saw the poster. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, it's like a Disney cartoon. And we were standing for the popcorn, and the young fella behind the counter was saying, oh, it's great, it's so funny. And I was like, oh, well, Michael's here to review it. I'm just here because I love a cartoon.
I know.
And he was kind of looking at me funny. And suddenly I sat down to watch it, and I went, yeah, this is not Disney.
How quickly is it apparent that this is not a family show?
In the first 10
it's
seconds.
Like, oh God, it's just...
And it was so funny to watch Filuna's reaction. It was not at all what
I think I
Filuna...
spent the first half hour going, why are they saying bad words? This is not what I prepared myself
And what's funny
for.
too, in the trailer, they actually blur the mouth out as well of the dogs.
Very clever.
Oh, because every time the dogs talk, you would swear that their mouths are moving to the exact wording. So I'd say they've used whatever that thing where you see all the
CGI,
babies singing the songs.
Yeah. Yes.
They seem to have, but it's like flawless in it now, I have to say.
Wait,
you genuinely would.
What? I thought the dogs were talking. What? What, Filuna? What?
Well, like we were talking afterwards about like movies like Incredible Journey and different things. Back in the day, there was those movies about people moving house and forgetting the dog, and the dog
two dogs and the cat
travels across America.
I kind of, from the trailer, I kind of got the feeling this is really in the Ted space. If you like Ted.
Yes, it's in that space.
It's definitely in that space.
It's very much an adult comedy. It's like 16 cert. It's not a family thing. It's full of vulgar jokes. It's very funny. Loosely, it's the story of a scrappy, adorable little pooch.
I love when he starts giving sort of the storyline of films like this. No, I do.
Who's abandoned by his absolute dirtbag owner, and he falls in with some strays, and he's like, they adopt him, and he's like, I'm not a stray, I'm just playing a game with my owner. And Will Ferrell is really good at being the ever optimistic. No, he's just playing a game with me. So they all set out on a quest for him to return to his owner, and of course they have loads of mini adventures along the way, and there's lots and lots and lots of really bad language, and it takes some dark turns.
But do you is there a point whereby you're watching it and you invest yourself a little bit in the story, you don't realise it's talking dogs?
Completely.
No?
Completely.
It's just a
completely.
No.
The critics have said this a lot of. No, I mean, critics have. It's about 2 to 3.
Like I find myself watching Ted. There does come a point when you're sort of tracking what's happening, even though it's a stupid comedy, whereby you switch off for a second that a grown man is chatting to a big fluffy talking teddy bear. That's kind of what I'm talking about here.
I agree. No, I think that is there. I think you do care.
Sane. That's the problem.
The point of the film, I think, is that dogs are eternally nice and loving by and large, and that a lot of people are not that nice. Are nice to dogs, and it comes
another
across
film that holds the mirror up to society. Fantastic.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
And
one of them in a while.
While mentally traumatizing you with the language. And, and
some of the imagery.
And
some of the stuff is dark. There was a point in the film. Oh yeah, there's a lot of that too. But there was a point where it got really dark, and Fionnuala was ahead of me by about 30 seconds, and I heard a gasp come from my immediate left, and I was like, "Why is she gasping?" And then I was like, oh, I see where this is going. Yeah, this is actually really dark.
Right, so I'm actually going to get you to almost finish your review. Now, you can jump in, of course, as normal, but I have a feeling Fionnuala's is going to be a very different take. So I'm going to ask you... Well, 1 second, I want to get the marks out of 10 first. There's a plan to this. What would you give it out of 10?
I loved it.
Right.
Listen, the way I put it, Greg...
You see, Fionnuala, I didn't want you to influence him downwards. That's why I insisted on getting his
If you were watching a comedy and you're laughing from start to finish...
Yeah. I know films that he's going 8+ on, and I know from your face ones that are not quite at that.
I mean,
so go ahead.
This is not, to be honest, this is not really my cup of tea anyways. I'm not...
Crude humour? Not your thing?
Yeah, it's not really my thing. It's even in like TV, in anything, in TV programs and stuff like that. Now, did I laugh during this? Yes, I 100% did. Is it funny? Yes, it 100% is. Were there times in it and you were like closing your eyes going, oh God?
Because you know how dogs check each other out.
Yes.
What they eat.
Yes.
You can sort of write the jokes.
Oh,
you're
yes.
right.
It absolutely. I mean, it's complete like toilet humour. and that kind of thing in it. It reminded me a lot of, if anybody's ever seen Sausage Party or, you know, any of those kind of...
No.
Oh, it's a cartoon.
It's a cartoon.
Went to one or two, but I've never...
It's a cartoon. I went into it innocently.
There are some girls coming later, are there? Yeah.
I went into it innocently and was traumatized by it. But it's... Look at... I was surprised there wasn't more people at it, because you could see teenagers now absolutely loving this.
Yeah.
It's very much like...
Jump Street, Family Guy, Ted.
Very much all in that. It's just kind of like, you know, there's no political correctness involved in this whatsoever. You know, you kind of reading afterwards the people that are in it, and you're not really surprised as to who's in it and who showed up in it. You know, they're the kind of people that show up in a lot of these movies. I was surprised Jamie Foxx was in it. And I'm glad that he recovered from his recent illness.
That's right.
God,
this
should not be... this should not be his last movie,
but his character is hilarious. I mean, he's the really foul-mouthed one. He's the streetwise one. Yeah, he's the streetwise dog. He's he's too cool for school. Yeah,
he's terrible in the good sense in it. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. It was fine, but it's not set for me, so it's kind of hard for me to say whether it's good or bad. Do you know what I mean? This is like...
I am very sorry. I'll take you to a nice cartoon the next time.
Next week we're going to see the other movie.
Oh, we are. Yeah,
I do know exactly what you're saying, though. Where you can sit through it and you can get the chuckles, but it's not something you're going to turn over from Channel 4 till RT1 to watch.
Yeah,
you're not going to. But then again, you get the whole cinema experience.
I will never watch it again. But it was definitely I would never watch it again. But it's
I'd watch it.
I know, but you are a 16-year-old boy in your head, so like there you go. Boom.
Yep, this is true.
In there
well, in 4 years.
Right, so...
Then you're way too young.
I mean, so I get the impression that you feel there's no point you critiquing it, because it's just simply not critiquing it, giving it a number, because it's not for you and it's going to be low
it's not for me, and it also wasn't made for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. I didn't even really like Bridesmaids.
Bridesmaids was funny. That's
I didn't even like... I don't like when when
Toilet
they just...
humor?
Yeah, when they just go straight to that, I'm just like... It's too the obvious joke. I'm not big into the obvious.
I thought that was a little bit more nuanced. But
it's a little bit, But I mean, what's not funny about dog poop? I mean, come on.
Will one of you please at some point watch The Sounds of Freedom, please?
That's what we were just saying.
We just mentioned
it's coming to the cinema next Friday.
Is it? Okay, because
that's what we wanted to say to people.
If you do that.
We can't wait to see it,
Yeah, it was on came up in the trailer. We just realised that it's coming, so it's going to be
that'll be an interesting one.
Very interesting, and I just intend to just review the film.
Just watch it,
Yeah, the movie, and try and forget some of the other stuff around it.
Yeah.
And I don't care enough about it to have read anything else about it, so I'm fine.
Maybe, do you want to do the show next week, Mean for Right, okay. Happy Friday. I watched the first 2 episodes of the new Star Wars series, Ahsoka.
I presume so.
Probably the best series yet. It has the big screen Star Wars feel to it. Recommend a watch.
Okay.
Yeah. Watched Fisk on Netflix on your team's recommendation. Very funny. So who recommended Fisk? Is anyone going to claim credit for that?
No. It must have been Di.
I think it was Di, actually. It doesn't matter as long as you enjoyed it, right? So we're going to be they're going to be watching The Sounds of Freedom. A caller says it's a very important film. I'm not sure if the person's watched it, and I don't want to sort of make any judgment calls, but I think this is being held up as a sort of a...
You see, I don't know if it's like streaming, like legally streaming anywhere. It could be. Remember I said to you last night, I don't know if it's been released for streaming in the States because I haven't looked it up on Just Watch.
It's going to be really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
For the two of you to
It's in the cinema next week,
yeah.
Right, I'm going to take a very quick break, and then we're going to come back with more from our wonderful guests, Michael and Fionnuala. It feels like ages since we've both sat here together.
Yes.
You know?
We have, yeah.
Because of outside broadcasts.
And you were away. And
commitments.
Yeah.
You bumping us and all kinds of things.
Yeah. You kind of bumped us last week.
I was here. You just didn't ask me anything.
You mean you were there?
No,
yeah,
you were
there. I was there.
No, that's what I mean.
I was there for the whole hour.
You weren't.
I was.
Well,
do you know
Caroline,
what?
Get in here now.
I know, but Caroline decided that she much preferred...
Donegal Daddy.
Yeah.
That guy,
I know where I stand.
I followed his videos and they're hilarious. They really are very funny. Yeah, I followed him on Instagram and it's really good stuff.
Did
really
I get a mention? Did he give me a mention? I've had a mention.
You had enough mentions after that lovely piece in the Times and everything.
Yeah,
that was really good. That was really good.
In fairness. Better than Die. Maybe he'll take over from next year. Maybe he'll take over from Dahi next year.
Maybe. I would do it if they asked me. Although I thought what's her name was a brilliant addition to that, Rose of Tralee.
I am not a big fan. Catherine Thomas.
Yeah, I just thought I loved. I don't know any of her previous work. I just liked her confidence. I liked the fact that she's just stepped in there. She looked like she'd been there all the time. That she'll play with her wit a little bit.
I didn't watch the Rose. Yeah. I only watched the last 5 minutes.
I really dipped in and out myself. If I'm honest, because because other things were on.
I'm terrible because I flicked over because I was flicking the channels and I realised that it was like 10 minutes to the end.
Yeah.
When I brought up like the TV times, and then I was like, oh, I'll just watch it. I wonder who won it, just so I can be critical about them, obviously.
But in a way,
but then I was bawling crying when their parents came out. I was like, this is ridiculous.
I missed this year's and the last 35 years of it. Also, but other than that, I'm up to date.
I just felt in terms of presentation. I felt in terms of presentation, it was kind of like it was almost like the future and the past were on the stage at the same time. If that makes sense, in that I just thought the line of questioning was this default whereby how are you and your escort getting on? To presume that two people can't spend any time together without. Yes. And yet her questioning, I thought, was a little bit more, anyway.
With it, a bit more clued in.
What do you think, listeners? That's the important views here. 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Go ahead, Fionnuala.
The most important thing, her dress was fabulous.
I thought all the dresses were fabulous.
That's what it's all about.
That's a very
The county's number one talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
It's the 9 till Noon Show in association with the Northwest Truck Fest this Saturday and Sunday at Milford Mart with live music, family fun, a truck convoy and much more.
Did you know there are more places than ever to top up your TFI Leap card? Well, now you do. You can buy and top up TFI Leap cards in over 2,500 agents, including all post offices. You can also top up your TFI Leap card with the Leap Top Up app on iPhone and Android. And remember, young adult and student Leap cards can only be ordered online. To download the app and find your nearest agent, go to leapcard.ie.
Exam results arriving? Your career starts with Northwest Regional College. On the day your exam results arrive, come along to your local Derry, Londonderry, Strabane or Limavady campus to apply for a course or confirm your place. Choose from our wide range of apprenticeships, level 3 diplomas, foundation degrees and so much more. For information, visit nwrc.ac.uk/results. Northwest Regional College. From here to career.
When it's time for a new car, it's time for a Volkswagen. Our unbeatable August offers across our wide range of petrol, diesel and all-electric models make it easy to choose the right Volkswagen for you and your lifestyle. Choose from our ever-popular Taigo, T-Roc and T-Cross SUVs or our best-selling all-electric ID range. Available now for immediate delivery in August, so there's no time to lose. Discover our full range and our unbeatable offers today at Volkswagen.ie. Volkswagen. Best-selling claim based on latest published figures.
Getting married. Men's wedding suit packages are now 20% off. Book before August 31st. Evolve Clothing. Letterkenny Retail Park. Terms and conditions apply.
It's the Northwest Truck Fest at Milford Mart this weekend. Highlights include truck lights display on Saturday at 9 and on Sunday it's the convoy of trucks through Milford at 5. This ad is sponsored by KNF Superwools 9139043.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
It's 11:25. You're welcome back to That's Entertainment here at the end of the 9 till Noon show for another week. And Fionnuala, you like a good scandal, especially if it involves the British royal family. Channel 4 on a regular terrestrial channel, of course, on their player. The Royals, a history of scandals.
Yeah, this just came up the other day. And
it's a 1 million parter.
Which is amazing. It totally could be a 1 million parter. But actually, it's you know me, I do love a bit of history, and these are going back, so it's not really about the current royals, it's more historically. and they're kind of going back through different scandals that happened financially, and then relating them to kind of the scandals that are still talked about, like who finances, who should, where does the money come from, how's the money spent, which is questions that are being asked now, but questions that were also asked back in the 1500s. When they had different, and I to me, that's always so fascinating about it. I mean,
it's clever too. That's actually, it gets the mind working, doesn't it?
This one is, you just kind of like finding out little bits and pieces like that. And also, I always find fascinating, same when you watch like the BBC's Who Do You Think You Are? The paperwork goes back to like just unbelievable.
Is that a good show?
dates.
I've never watched a full episode of Who Do You Think You Are?
To be honest, it kind of depends on who you get.
It is, right?
Do you know,
Okay.
like you could probably give you a list of 3 or 4.
And I always thought the reason that put me off in that, it's like the 7 degrees of separation or the 6 degrees of separation that really, we're all sort of, if you dig deep enough, you can connect yourself to anything. Really.
Oh, no.
But it's not like that. No.
I actually, no, because the majority of them are not, there's 1 or 2 of them where where the celebrity finds out that they were related, like famously Courtney Cox is related to William of Orange.
Right.
Go back far enough to some sort of a thing like that.
But it's kind of more direct connections.
It's very little of that. Really what you get a lot of, which is interesting, because again, which I like, is like you'll have people that are talking about how, I remember one of them, and I can't even think what celebrity it was, but they never knew their grandfather. He kind of disappeared from the parents. Turned out that in the war he had shell shock, ended up in well, I suppose at them days it probably was an asylum type situation, and then they kind of talk about the treatment that they would have had at the time, and so it explores those kind of issues more than an individual.
Maybe it is an age thing, because I the older I get, like I do realize sometimes that I don't really know an awful lot past grandparents, and I'm of a generation where mom and dad had me kind of late, and their mom and dad had them kind of late, so it's. It was 150 years ago. So go back one other generation, it would be really, really quite interesting. And I actually think for some people, as you get older, and maybe it's because you get nearer, that you start sort of wanting to dig in a little bit, maybe to get a sense of who you are and purpose.
I think you just have an interest in. Well, I don't know if it's hard to know really at this stage, because there's so many of those kind of shows out there. So I don't know whether we've been influenced by that kind of an idea,
possibly,
that you can find all the way back. But I do think you start thinking about not just your kind of legacy, but more what's behind you and kind of made you the person that you are now.
So in relation to Royals, a history of scandal, suppose when you look at it, when you think that they still ride around in gold-plated horse-drawn carriages, and the absolute reaction to a slight change in the gene pool recently.
Yeah.
I suppose if none of that's changed, why should anything else change? And does that program talk to that? I mean, if they're really...
It does. No, there's only been the first one so far. There's going to be 4 of them in a row, so I haven't all the information on them, obviously, when I haven't watched them all.
Yeah.
But this one in particular, it talked about, I don't know, it's like George IV or something like that, which would have been, most people, as they're even saying, it would have been, that's the Blackadder prince. That Hugh Laurie.
Yes.
Do you remember when Hugh Laurie,
yeah.
real kind of a foolish, sort of a foppish kind of a guy, and that's who that's the caricature of this actual king. But like before, as when he was the Prince of Wales, he was in today's currency, and like this would have been around 1780, but in today's currency, he was 72 million in debt.
Oh wow, the other direction.
Built unbelievable stuff all in England, and different, Brighton Pavilion and a few things that people would have heard of and seen, but just kept charging everything up to the crown. Like it just was, oh yeah, there, Daddy will pay for that. And it, so it goes into all different kind of things. And then if people like Lucy Worsley, this isn't hers, but it is a female historian that's doing it. I'm terrible, I can't think of her name either, but it's very much in the Lucy Worsley kind of an idea, where it's very kind of chatty. She has different people that come in. They go to different buildings, like they go to see the Brighton Pavilion and that kind of thing, where you can still see today how all the walls were done in silver. All the drapes are
so
gold.
Puts context
you
in
can
stuff as well.
you can still see exactly what it is, and they kind of put different things. And also then they talk about different people that kind of interacted with the royals and how they became rich or had their wealth taken away from them and different things like that. I always like that kind of thing. I like a bit of history, so I actually really enjoyed it. I have to say, I'm definitely
We're looking forward to the second, third, and fourth. Deadly Forces on the Legend channel. Now, where might one find the Legend channel?
Legend channel used to be the horror channel, and they mentioned a couple of weeks ago somebody sent in a message about the $6 Million Man and stuff.
Yes, of course, yeah.
So that got me, and I was like, what is Legend? So it's actually just a rebranding of Horror Channel, which was also Zone Horror. They're also showing...
It kind of really... It's the only shows they can afford. They've kind of branded it to make it look like they're doing it on purpose.
Yes, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. Yeah, absolutely. And what they also have, and I wrote down the details here because if you're on, it's Sky 148, Virgin 149, Freeview 41, FreeSat 137. There we go. But it's been the Horror Channel on and off since 2004. And it actually has a good lineup if you like this kind of stuff. This was on during the week. There's a guy called Wings Hauser, who nobody will recognise. There'll be people out there alone. He was an action star of the 80s and 90s, and he did those cheap B movies that you used to get in video shops. And I love those kind of cheesy action films where they're not really that good, but there's a bit of a car chase and a shootout, and it's good crack. And I like Wings Hauser a lot. Wings Hauser was a regular on a couple of seasons of Beverly Hills 90210. He played a sleazy private eye who helped Luke Perry find his sister, I think, who was kidnapped. He was in about 7 or 8 episodes. He had to go undercover with Valerie. Tiffany Amber said Valerie was my favourite character on Beverly Hills 90210, needless to say. So I enjoyed seeing Wings Hauser team up with Valerie, whatever. So this was a really...
The fact that you remember Beverly Hills 90210.
I love Beverly Hills 90210.
I know, but...
Love it.
Put something of substance into your brain.
Okay, right. So this was on during the week, and it's indicative of the sort of films that the channel has. I won't give this a high number.
So Deadly Forces is a film?
It's a film from 1983, and it's about an ex-cop who comes back to town to track down a serial killer because he is the only one that can do it.
Now, I'm not saying it wasn't a commercial success.
It wasn't.
But I literally cannot find any video reference to that on the internet.
There is.
Now, I could find out your inside leg measurement on the internet. But Deadly Forces, no one in the world ever has decided to upload a clip to YouTube.
It's on Facebook. It's not. I agree with you. I looked. It's on Facebook. There's actually a short trailer.
Are you sure it's not called Deadly Prey?
I'm quite sure, yeah.
Okay.
I'm quite sure.
Go on.
But it's a cheap movie. Greg, you know the sort of movie I'm on about. You know the sort of movies I'm on about. And I mean, it's just, the story doesn't make a huge amount of sense. I'm only going to give it like a 4 or a 5 out of 10. But I loved it because it's a car chase and a shootout. And there's a type of movie that there's people like myself will embrace it. And it's perfect for 11 o'clock at night. And you're like, yeah, it's a cop and he's back in town and he's going to rough up a couple of guys and the bad guy will start shooting at him for no reason. And it's great crack. And I think that's the kind of movie you're going to see on Legend. They have a couple of Hammer horror films on. Like, I didn't get to see this week. They had Lust for a Vampire. The title of that tells you everything. It was supposed to be here. It's just Hammer horror films
and
of the 70s.
You know, at the end of the day,
they're cheesy.
It's for a niche.
It's a niche thing.
It's a niche thing, but it's a niche that's being
catered to.
It's being catered.
And I say I have no problem.
There's a lot of young people that admit that don't know anything about that would probably love it now.
Yeah.
Wings Hauser. Look at it.
If you look Wings Hauser up on IMDb, this guy, and I am a huge
It's not a case of Deadly Force.
It's not, no. It's up there on Facebook, I swear, because I found a short.
What year was it made in?
1983. 1983. Wings, if you're on IMDb, look up Wings Hauser.
No, I'm on YouTube.
You're on YouTube. You'll not find it, because I looked on YouTube as well. I did look. I was like, is there any trailers up there? 1983. Wings Hauser did a lot of these movies. Oh, you found something?
I have, right. Yeah, here we go.
Are we going to hear it?
Can do.
Yeah.
The cons. Go back to your nice big apple. Okay.
Does that sound about right?
The day I took your badge was the last time I ever wanted to see your face.
His wife.
You just can't walk in here and take over again. You can't do that. You're not super cop anymore.
But somewhere in the shadows.
Oh, that's about enough. That I can tell.
Explosions and cars. Wings Hauser did a lot of these. Like he did a lot of. Like he would play a mercenary in the next film, or he might play. You know, that's what he did. And he's, I really like him. He's one of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we
it's great
meet
fun.
up here on a Friday.
Yes.
To review shows. with a view to maybe the listeners watching it.
Yes. So
Okay.
I'm saying go to Legend if you like these
When
kind
is
of
it on?
It was on last Tuesday.
Okay, so if you've got a time machine,
Yeah.
you get in your time machine, you set it to when?
In my defence, it was on the list
So
for
really
last.
now you're just coming in, telling us things you've watched, but no one else can watch.
Well, you can probably see it again. I'm sure Legend will come back to it. And I imagine there'll be more of these films.
But if you like that kind of stuff.
If you love that kind of thing.
But it looks decently shot and a decent budget to it.
I can only say that in the 90s, right, there was a bunch of us, there was lads that, you know, we'd meet up in the nightclub or whatever that, and all the women would be the far side of the nightclub, and we'd chat about films like this.
That's why all the women were in the far side.
The far
of the
side of the nightclub, yes.
You understand that, don't you?
But we were like...
But it just didn't happen that they were giving you the space to have your nerd chats.
To have our chats. So you'd go into...
It was Leitrim as well. I feel he's
you'd go into...
I feel he's using the term nightclub loosely.
Loosely, yeah. Well, you'd go into Gartlands in Carrick and Shannon, and Gartlands had all the VHS tapes, and you had all... And you'd pick... And you'd be like, oh, there's another Wings Hauser movie, and look, he's got a gun in his hand. It must be a good action film, and you'd take it home and you'd watch it, and it probably wasn't, but you'd enjoy it anyway. So it's
okay.
So they're on Legend Channel, and if you like those kind of cheesy movies, and if you like Hammer horror,
give us the channel numbers again, because someone listening will resonate with them.
Sky is 148, Virgin's 149, Freesat's 137, and Freeview 41. It's the horror channel. It's been around for like 19 years. They're also showing $6 Million Man. They're showing Star Trek. They're showing all those shows. As you said, they're making it sound as if they've deliberately sought them out, but probably it's just that these shows are really cheap and no one else is going to... No other channel is going to be showing Deadly Force.
What does that tell you?
It's niche. There's the word. I'm using the word back.
Back in a bit.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by the Northwest Truck Fest, taking place this Saturday and Sunday in the grounds of Milford Mart, with proceeds to Donegal Down syndrome.
What's your dream job? Lawyer? Software developer? Engineer? Or criminologist? Do you want to develop renewable energies? Create the next great drama? Or improve people's health? Anything is possible at Ulster University, where you can study in the heart of Derry Londonderry. Clearing places are now available to help you realise your ambitions. It's time to say hello, future. Apply now for September 2023 at ulster.ac.uk/clearing.
The Citroën EC4 and all new EC4X are fully electric. So that means zero exhaust emissions. Their progressive hydraulic cushion suspension means zero vibrations. Their renowned advanced comfort seating means zero discomfort. And now, their impressive finance offer means % interest rate. Book a test drive today at your local Citroën dealer. And zero for yourself.
Where's the party? Bundoran presents Ireland's biggest indoor dancing festival, the World Matchmaking Festival, in 4 venues for 10 days, 10 nights, September 29th to October 8th. Starring 35 bands, including the Tumbling Paddies, Derek Ryan, David James, Declan Nerney, plus Blind Date and Speed Dating. Book now for accommodation and entertainment package deals. Log on to showtours.ie or call 0818 300 888. Meet your match in Bundoran. Very special guest from Lisdoonvarna, the world-famous matchmaker, Willie Daly.
Hi, Clelia Murphy here. Please take part in Bewley's Big Coffee Morning Social for Hospice on Thursday, 21st of September by hosting a coffee morning for your local hospice. To register and host a coffee morning, please call 0818 995 996 or visit hospicecoffeemorning.ie. And remember, every euro raised locally stays locally.
The Northwest Truck Fest returns to Milford Mart this Saturday and Sunday, with live music from Norman Borland on Sunday afternoon from 2 till 4 p.m. This ad is sponsored by JD Recovery Services, Kilmacrennan and Donegal Town. 9139303.
All right, just to give you one more reminder on this programme that we are in sort of the final countdown territory. If you want to be in all 3 draws as part of our summer cash draw, David James is giving away €2,500 in cash to one of you listening today, or one of you who've bought a ticket. There's another draw for €2,500 on the Naughty Alarm Clock next Friday, and then on this show next week, €10,000 in cash. So if you want to be in all 3 draws, then you need to get your ticket before early afternoon. How do you do so? Well, you go onto our website, highlandradio.com, click Mega Summer Cash Draw. That's the most convenient way for you to do so. It's safe and secure. It's €10 per ticket, so of course do it within your means and for a bit of crack, like you might the lotto or bingo or something along those lines. Now, if you struggle with that side of things, you can give us a call here, 07491 25,000, and we will process them for you. That side of things can get really busy as the cut-off point approaches. So if you're intending to get a ticket, give us a call now and we can make sure your number is in Fanula's Trombola. And also, you can call up to us here. If you're cash only, you can call up to us here at the Mountaintop Letterkenny, and we will accommodate you that way as well. So as I say, if you want to be in all 3 draws, you have a couple of hours really now to get those tickets in. And I see a handful of tickets just chucked into the Trombola there of people that have entered this morning. I completely agree with Michael about the girls' performance in Jimmy's winning matches. Saw it last night, and I was blown away by it all. I was crying one minute and laughing the next. If you do one thing this weekend, go see this show. Highly recommended. I didn't like Catherine Thomas. Dahi on his own is better. Right, Catherine. Right, okay, that's on the road to tree. Some people are traditionalists, and some people like to. I was watching, you ever see things that you sort of see that's in a lot of films, and then it's like in every film, and it almost ruins it for you. And I've found myself now noticing that in every film I watch or program, someone throws up. It happens in so many films. Wait till you see now, over the next week watching TV, you'll see 3 or 4 people throw up. And secondly,
you ruined stuff
people
for me
struggling and a gun, and then them struggling to get the gun. It's in every film.
You ruined a lot of stuff for me. First of all, with your drone footage.
Oh, that actually has ruined a lot of stuff.
And then you mentioned when I was watching Ozark, you were on about half the screen in one focus and half the screen in one focus. And you ruined the last 2 seasons of Ozark. And now you're after...
I'll be like, what's going on in the background? I can't see.
I can't see.
Is that a Ford Dodge?
It does make it.
So people are going to be throwing... Actually, Strays was full of throwing up sequences because dogs throw up a lot.
Yeah.
And what was the other thing you just mentioned?
Guns. When the gun struggles and it bounces away and they have to
That's
struggle
my
to
viewing
get it,
room for the month of September.
Any other tropes that you see all the time in films and TV shows that's annoying? 086 60 25,000.
Just talking about it there. There's a new show on Netflix about Hollywood tropes. Rob Lowe's. I remember Rob Lowe's.
Just
I know.
This might be a conversation that leaked from off air to on air.
It did. That's because I never remember anybody's name. Everybody who knows me knows my life is a game of charades.
Yes.
You either join me in this game of charades,
Vin
or
Diesel's
you can't.
name, and I feel if you forget Vin Diesel's name,
you either join me in this game of charades or you stay out of my life.
Yeah.
That's basically.
I'm sorry, I'm actually in Camp Fanula here.
It's the requirement to join. If you want to become part of this party, you've got to join. Charades is definitely part of it. But Rob Lowe has a thing, and it's just like a 6-parter, half hours, and it just each one talks about different. Like what I was explaining to him is one of them is, every movie needs the funeral scene, and at the funeral scene you have the man standing at a distance watching, the stranger.
Seen it, yeah.
But they were saying then in The Fast and the Furious you have Paul Walker at a distance watching the funeral, while Vin Diesel is watching Paul Walker watch the funeral at a distance from a distance.
I take it there's a comedic element to that show, isn't there?
Rob, it's actually one of the best things I've seen Rob Lowe in a long time. Because he does start taking the mick of himself, and he
was potentially at one point going to be the next big Hollywood heartthrob.
Oh my God!
Maybe he occupied
my
that
friends
space
and
for a while,
I
but
just loved him.
Yeah,
Oxford Blues and St. Elmo's Fire and those. Oh my God, he was amazing.
I've seen none of those.
Oh my God!
I was busy watching Winghauser films.
Was that St. Elmo's Fire song written for that show? I wonder.
Oh, it must have.
I imagine
I'm assuming
so.
it was.
Is that possibly the best song ever written for?
It's a great track. It's an absolute banger. Yeah.
All I was Rob Lowe played the trumpet in it. I'm sure he cannot play the trumpet in real life, but we were all convinced.
I don't think you can.
Do you mean Rob Lowe
I know.
played the trumpet, or he played the trumpet? Because if he played the trumpet, that's some pretty amazing acting.
Kevin from Dunlow says, hi Greg and the TV too. Looking forward to watching Camp Theatre. It's got rave reviews as it seems to be a mockumentary about a theatre.
Yeah.
Tony Award winner Ben Platt and Molly Gordon star in the new original comedy Theatre Camp as Amos and Rebecca Diane, lifelong best friends and drama instructors at a rundown camp in upstate New York. When clueless tech bro Troy, Jimmy Tatro, arrives to run the property into the ground, Amos, Rebecca Diane and production manager Glenn, Noah Galvin, band together with the staff and students to stage a masterpiece and keep their beloved summer camp afloat. By the way, too late to warn you about keeping away from the strays. Stop, okay?
Yeah.
And the Rose co-host was Kat Altogether. And where did she say she got the handcuffs from? Ara Kevin, don't be a prude. She said it was a joke about a local sex shop. Come on now. Just because if Dahi said that, everyone would be rolling around laughing. Oh, Dahi, you cheeky get. But a woman says it and it's like, oh, Mrs. What? You know what I mean? Come on.
Girls don't do those kind of things.
You know what I'm saying? But anyway,
I want Greg to review everything in those voices that we just used. Everything. I want everything.
Right, is this a series, How to Become, on Netflix?
I don't know if it's becoming a series because I found the two of them and I'm like, this is right up my alley because really both of these are personal goals of mine. And they're both of them
I'd say you particularly enjoyed How to Become a Tyrant.
Yeah, well, I feel I'm already halfway there with that one, but I watched them in the wrong order. That's what I did.
What?
Because I watched Cult Leader first.
Right.
These are two, again, kind of documentaries that they've done. Peter Dinklage is the voices, both of them. So I don't know if they're going to do more of them. But I watched the first one, which was How to Become a Cult Leader, and I actually really enjoyed it because I do love a good cult. And I totally could see myself as...
It's convincing people to follow you is the problem. Like, I would be a great cult leader, but I would have a very small cult.
You'd be amazed.
Really?
Honest to God,
Does
watch
anyone
this
want to
and this
join
will
my
help you
cult?
get... Watch this and it'll just help you push it over the line.
Okay.
It's actually, to be honest, I really enjoyed them because, again, they're both historical, but they're also kind of interesting as in, you know, with regard to cults, what's always interesting is how people get themselves involved in it and how easily... It goes from being like a little self-help group where you're kind of meeting on a Tuesday and having a coffee, and then suddenly, like a year and a half later, you find yourself living in the desert somewhere, and you know,
you've signed away all
in one of these. They were like self-mutilating themselves on the idea that they can. You know, it's like the journey.
But
is
it's
always
the person. It's discovering the people that have a massive want in their lives, and you filling that.
It is, but even I mean,
if you've got a population of 6 billion. Is it that
be a
hard to round up 100?
I know, but there's a lot of cults in America.
Yeah.
And also, you think about other things, is like, you think, like in one of these, like they talk about the Moonies, you know what I mean? Which is, I suppose, some people would consider it a religion and a lot of people consider it a cult. But like, I mean, millions of people are in that.
Yeah.
They can't all have a want. Like some of them have a genuine belief in this, and some of them have, and they have like mass weddings, and they do. Right, okay. It's an interesting. I find it really interesting. And the tyrant one's
kind of interesting too, particularly with the demise of the leaders of the Wagner group, which I presume they're tyrants. You know that it's only now that they're dead, and Wagner seems to be a thing of the past now, or most likely to be, that you realise that you have to be in such a to get up to be such a position of power and influence and what have you.
Well, that's what's interesting about this. It's how they kind of moved their way up through it. You know, it talks about like Kim Jong-il and his predecessors. You know, obviously Gaddafi's in it.
Yeah. The Tories.
No, but what I do find interesting is every once in a while, and particularly with the cult leader one, they start slipping in, like, you know, the army. And, you know, they talk about, oh, well, you have to get everybody, you know, to be thinking the same thing and following the same rules. And next minute there's like, it flicks, because it kind of flicks through different footage and old footage of certain cults, but also little bits from movies where it talks about how you can, you know, these kids people that become tyrants, how they start off, you know, the kind of way they're bullies in the schoolroom and that kind of thing.
Okay.
You know,
start early.
They talk about their charisma. They talk
and
about
it seems very consumable because both are 6 episodes, 30 minutes each.
Yeah, so I just really enjoy. You know, you're kind of looking for something that's just a little bit light or whatever. You sit down and watch. Exactly.
Which do you see? Where do you see yourself landing? Do you think you'll head down the tyrant route, or do you see yourself heading down the cult leader route?
If you could become the cult leader route, you really need to become the tyrant and the cult leader are very much the same. Except, well, the tyrant has a tendency to murder all their friends and family along the way.
Well, it's messy. Messy.
I'm incredibly close to being a cult leader.
I'll blend the whole lot together.
I'm not commenting.
I'm going to take.
I'm keeping
going to take a quick break.
Do you have your ticket yet?
€2,500 every Friday.
Plus a chance to win big.
10,000 cash money.
Get your ticket today.
Go to HighlandRadio.com. Summer's just got better.
It's the Northwest Truck Fest at Milford Mart this weekend. Highlights include Truck Lights display on Saturday at 9 and on Sunday it's the convoy of trucks through Milford at 5. This ad is sponsored by K&F Superwools 9139043.
Looking for a course to study in September? Discover CAFRE, the College of Agriculture, Food and Rural Enterprise, Northern Ireland's specialist agri-food and land-based college. Study agriculture, food, horticulture, equine, floristry, veterinary nursing and land-based engineering. With 3 campuses at Greenmount in Antrim, Loughery in Cookstown and Enniskillen. We've a range of courses available from level 2 through to master's degree. Visit cafre.ac.uk to find out more.
Big news for back to school. The Centra Big Brand sale is now on, with big savings on big brands you love, like selected Kellogg's cereal half price, like Rice Krispies now €3.12, Fitzgerald's Bagel Slim 6-pack €1 each, and Yoplait Petit Flou Big Pots and Froobs €2 each. So shop smart, feel good. Centra. Live every day.
New this week at Home Store and More. All painting and DIY accessories are all half price. But better hurry, because when all the half price painting and DIY accessories are gone, they're gone. Also, all home office desks and chairs are still all half price. But when all the half price home office desks and chairs are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More, or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. New store now open in Frascati Centre, Blackrock, Dublin. Home Store and More. A happy home.
It's the 9 till noon show in association with the Northwest Truck Fest this Saturday and Sunday at Milford Mart, with live music, family fun, a truck convoy and much more.
Okay, well, welcome back onto the show. Alan O'Reilly of Carlow Weather. Hi, Alan.
Hi, Greg. How are we doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Great to have you on. I mean, there's been a pattern really seemingly in the weather through July, now into August. Is that going to continue as August turns to September, I wonder?
It does look a little bit like that. The Atlantic is very much active with a lot of tropical storms and hurricanes, which is going to influence our weather indirectly, hopefully not directly. No sign of any coming our way. But we do have less rainfall, in the last few days and the next week or so ahead. Still rain, still showers at times, but no more sign of anything like Betty or anything significant coming our way at the moment, at least. So you're looking like another showery afternoon and evening. Some heavy showers actually late tonight, early tomorrow morning. Saturday, a very mixed day. Northwest breeze, very strong breeze, making it feel fresh. It'll be time to get the autumn wardrobe out if you haven't already, because it's we're only going to feel like about 11 or 12 degrees. And some showers, but some sunny spells developing in the afternoon, especially in the south of the county. However, we have another band of rain coming through Saturday night with a wet start for Sunday morning. So if you have plans for early Sunday morning, it is looking rather wet. That will clear away though, and it will improve later in the afternoon and evening. And then next week, it's still similar, mixed bag, sunny spells, showers, no significant rainfall, but no real good kind of clear, dry days that you couldn't say you were going to have to not worry about the umbrella.
Right, garden furniture is officially going in the shed. I've given up on summer. Thank you very much indeed, Alan.
Hi, cheers, guys.
Take care of yourself. Bye-bye. Stuff it.
Who put away their autumn clothes? I think that's what we've been wearing all summer.
We took out the table and chairs and we sat in them for half a day in June.
Yeah.
So
June was good.
2 weeks of June was okay, but it wasn't beach weather.
Okay, maybe not, yeah, but it was good. It was sunny.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on
you got to pick it.
Like beach. Lots of people go to the. You know what I mean? Beach. Whether I want about lying on the beach. Yes, St Elmo's fire was for the St Elmo's fire was the for the equally crap film of the same name. I despair at your collective taste sometimes. Well, firstly, St Elmo's Fire. I will never play that, but I recognise that it is a popular song that is you're going to hear it.
I liked it.
I've never seen St. Elmo's
I've never
Fire,
seen the film either.
So
no.
really what effectively I'm doing is
Rob Lowe was good.
but I'm kind of decoupling myself from you two. I don't like the way this listener has...
conscious.
Yes.
What is it? Conscious decoupling.
Greg, please mention that there's a one-day book sale in Burt tomorrow in St. Mary's Hall, Saturday at 11 a.m. That comes in from Kathleen. More than happy to do so. So we've got a couple of minutes. You're going to be watching The Flash. I suppose that's a good one to finish on, Fanula, because you haven't watched it yet.
Oh my God, I'm in season 6.
Right, let's move on to something else then.
It's on Sky.
It's on Sky. The Flash. What is The Flash? Is it? It's
superhero.
It's
You've
TV.
watched all, yeah.
I'm looking for TV programs and Michael recommended this one because I'm looking for TV shows now that there's no new stuff kind of coming.
Yes.
We're sort of in a bit of a lull.
Because of the strikes. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that I was looking for that we'd see.
So an awful lot of stuff
missed
that
out.
he's mentioned before and you completely dismissed. You might revisit.
Yes, like Doctor Who, Fanula. Like Doctor Who.
I can't imagine myself ever.
Doctor Who.
I'd have to watch it from the start.
I'd love to get into like an 8 or 9 series, or especially. I'm sorry to put myself in winter mode, but you know what?
Oh, I know. You'd love to get it. Yeah, I know.
Maybe I'll just try Game of Thrones.
Oh my God, you haven't watched Game of Thrones?
No,
you should totally just.
I don't know how you'll react to it.
Stick with it. No, stick with it.
Greg, you know that Justified is back, and you love Justified.
It's not.
It's
brand
not
new. Actually on the telly though.
Oh, it's not over. I haven't looked at it yet. I haven't seen it yet. I know it's back in America, so it'll soon be here.
Is it really?
It's brand new episodes, yeah. And the reviews are good.
I watched that twice.
The reviews are good. Justified was a great show.
Yeah, have you watched Justified?
No.
You really should.
I'll put it on
It's
the
really
list,
smart
'cause
show.
I'm looking for stuff now.
Yeah.
So it's
Timothy
getting harder to
Oliphant.
find stuff though because I keep taking stuff off platforms and I'm like, now's the time you should be leaving it there.
So
Like.
many bloody subscriptions to so many different
I
things
know.
as well.
Oh my God, I dread sitting down and counting it up. But The Flash is on, and I am enjoying it. It's for if anybody likes the Disney or looking for a superhero kind
have
of
a
thing,
proper chat
you
about
can
that
sit and
next
have the
week.
kids. Oh, it's hardly worth that. Every time he starts, so funny. He starts off every time, and he's like, "Oh my God, and the world is in peril, and the only person that is fast enough to save them is me." He puts the world in peril every time.
Right,
I'm
if
like, for
anyone
God's
wants
sake,
to know
buddy.
what Fanula's like in real life, this is what Fanula's like in real life.
Stop running.
Fanula Rabbit, thank you so very much indeed, as always.
Thank you.
Michael Levy,
Thank you very
great
much.
to have you on
Great
the
fun.
show. Okay, we'll be back on Monday morning, all being well, from 9. Have a lovely weekend. Stay tuned, though. John Bresson's got a brilliant show coming up for you. It's Around the Northwest, and it's coming up after